All right. But yeah, so just decided to do that real quick. Just kind of a quick little refresher from last week. Thank you to the individuals who actually um did your responses. So every week, just want to encourage y'all every week before class, sometime before class, tap in to the group chat on Facebook, because you never know when I might drop a quiz or something. So just somewhere around, I don't know, I say 12:30, 12:30, 12:45, just open up your phone and just check. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been trying to do is oh no, yeah, I've been better watch out to extension until I try to at least tap in with y'all and just kind of encourage y'all to actually be in attendance to the group study every week. I've been doing that for the past few weeks, past couple of weeks or whatever. But just on your own at times, just check your phone, check your Facebook and just your messages, and just see, if there's a quiz, because you never know. I might come as a thief in the night and drop a quiz on y'all. You know what I'm saying? So today, all right. Did y'all read? Y'all do your homework? Y'all requested that too. Somebody, a few people requested
Not
that.
gonna lie.
Get on.
I read most of it, but I think like two things I did read. But for the most part, I did try to read as much as I could.
Okay, that's all you can do. Do what you can. And hey, thanks for telling the truth. Tell the truth, shame the devil. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, but hopefully, I appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's good for you to read, just make a practice out of just reading. Uh now the men, as a man, hey, look, man, now the women, don't let the women, you know what I'm saying, go up in these scriptures on y'all, man, and y'all don't even lend yourselves to hopping in these scriptures, man, and reading for yourself, you know. But I'm trying to do that every week. Probably give y'all some reading assignments to do, just to kind of whet your appetite for what's coming next. And if it's too much reading, if it's too much, let me know. All right, you got to communicate with me and let me know, because what might seem like a lot to somebody else, does not seem like a lot to me. You know what I'm saying? Because of so much reading that I do. And it's not just the Bible; it's so many other things that I be reading too. So I could be overwhelming with the homework, with the reading assignments. And so if it gets overwhelming, let me know. If it's too much, let me know. If you say, hey man, just give us like a chapter, just one. Don't give us more than a chapter. Like, say that. Don't hold that back from me. Let me know. All right. But so today, all right, today we're gonna dig into some prophecy. Yay! Right? I mean,
Yay!
hopefully, there you go. There you go. Yeah, we're gonna dig into some prophecy today. All right, we're gonna get into, and we won't cover it all today, and we won't cover it all. We're gonna have to break this part. I know y'all like, man, we've been in Romans 9 for a long time, but it's a slow grind for us. You know what I'm saying? Some of it is just time. I know 1 week we took 2 weeks of a break off, and then coming back we did reviews, stuff like that. But hopefully I'm trying to take my time in this, because this is a very important chapter. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, this is a chapter that's pushing us toward having to look at some prophecy. That's why I wanted you to read that Second Thessalonians last week. You know what I'm saying? That's a prophetic chapter, and that's where you get the doctrine of the Antichrist. That's where you get that from. This one man is going to rise up, and he's going to be a one world ruler that's going to subjugate everybody in the world, and then he's going to make peace for 7 years, but he's going, in the middle of it, he's going to break it. At 3.5 years, he's going to break that peace, and then he's gonna show the devil that he really is, and he's gonna create this image and this beast, and he's gonna make everybody worship this beast, and you're gonna have to get his mark on your hand and your forehead. And during this time, there gonna be two prophets that's gonna be standing out preaching to everybody, and people gonna stone them to death and kill them. And then when they die, they're gonna rejoice over them, and they're gonna start getting married and pass gifts to each other. And then after 3 days, these two prophets gonna raise up, and everybody gonna look at them, and as they stand on their feet, and then they're gonna hear a voice from heaven to say, "Come up here," and then they're gonna float up all the way to the sky. And as they floating up to the sky, people gonna look, and then as soon as that happens, a big earthquake is gonna happen. What's up? Who's that? Oh, and then a big earthquake gonna happen, and then these angels gonna fly through the sky, and they're gonna say, "Woe to men," and then this dragon gonna be flying through the sky like Dragon Ball Z. You know what I'm saying? And breathing fire, and he gonna have like 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns, and then this beast is gonna have 7 heads and 10 horns and 10 crowns, and it's all that's a misunderstanding, right? It's a misunderstanding of scriptures. None of that stuff is gonna happen literally. All of that stuff is most of it is metaphors. All right. Just like when you read in the book of Thessalonians. A lot of that is prophetic language. All right. And we're gonna break that down, and we're gonna because I want to get into, because we talked about the vessels of honor. Now we're gonna deal with the vessels of dishonor. So you can see, because we can all have our own opinions and beliefs about things when it comes to theology, which is 2 words, theo and logi. Logi is the study of something, and then theos is the Greek word for God. So it's the study of God. We've all been given some type of idea of God's plans and God's character and God's nature based off of someone's interpretation of the scriptures. And unfortunately, most of what we understand today comes from an interpretation that's not in alignment with the scriptures, because the people who we got that interpretation from, God doesn't even talk to those people. He doesn't even do. That's you go in book of Psalms 147. That's what it says. It says it shows his word unto Jacob, his statutes unto Israel. For he has not dealt so with any other nation. As for his judgments, they do not know. So the judgment just means a decision, how to think, how to decide things. When it comes to that, it's only one group of people that the Most High has revealed his knowledge to be able to decide whether or not something is true or false. And not saying that no other person can know anything that's true. It's not saying that. I'm just saying when it comes to these things, especially these deep hidden things and mysteries of God, only the Israelites can know these things. Nobody else can know these things according to the scriptures. That's not according to how I feel. It's not according to what I think. It's according to what the Bible says. And as we all should, I'm just going off of what the Bible say. You know what I'm saying? Then when I look around and I think about a lot of the main belief systems or the main beliefs that people have about the Bible, it's proof to me. It's just more proof that the Bible is true, that God doesn't deal with everybody, right? That he only deals with the Israelites. So the question would be, what is a prophecy, right? A prophecy is basically a prediction. That's what a prophecy is. Prophecy is a prediction of something that's going to happen, right? It's and don't think like prophecy, like I don't know if y'all ever watched the movie 300, right? So you see these, and there's a part where Leonidas, I think that's his name, where he climbs this mountain and he goes all the way up this mountain, and he has to make this payment to these oracles, and they're all sitting around looking spooky. They got these hoods on, and it's this lady who's laid out. She's in the floor, and they take these rocks, and it's crazy. She's smoking some rocks, right? They take these rocks and they set them on fire, and the smoke comes into her nostril. And as she breathes them in, she started to utter these prophecies, right? She get to telling him about what's going to happen because he's fighting the Persians, right? He basically gets warned that he's gonna die if you go up against these Persians, but he doesn't want to. Now the prophecies, when you read in the Bible, that's not how prophecies worked. The prophets didn't just sit in a corner in a quiet space and just write these things. Matter of fact, these books that you read, like in the Kings, the account of Elijah, when you read the book of Jeremiah, when you read the book of Isaiah, when you read the book of Jonah, when you read the book of Hosea, when you read all these books, they're not the ones writing this, right? These are are scribes that's writing this, that were around during that time. God put the spirit on these scribes to be recorders. That's what a scribe does. It's where you get the word scribble from, right? So a scribe writes down things, right? So the prophet, they were always sent into the streets. They were always sent out to proclaim these prophecies. So they would look like these maniacs out, like with Jonah. Like let's look at that right quick. Let me show you an example. This is how pretty much how all of these prophets um told their prophecies, right? Um so look, 3:1. This is Jonah 3:1. Says, and the word of the Lord came unto Jonah the second time, saying, this is after he got spewed up from the fish, and he goes to Nineveh, and then he's walking through Nineveh. Look, the word says, arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and preach unto it the preaching that I tell you. So Jonah arose and went to Nineveh, according to the word of the Lord. Now Nineveh was an exceeding great city of 3 days' journey. And Jonah began to enter the city a day's journey, and he cried. See that? That cried means he's proclaiming, he's screaming, he's yelling. And what did he say? And said, yet 40 days and Nineveh shall be overthrown. For 40 days in Nineveh. And he's just walking through the city screaming this. And look, so the people of Nineveh believe God and proclaimed a fast. He's walking through the city. He probably looking crazy. I'm sure he stank. You know what I'm saying? He just came out the belly of a fish. Fish stink within themselves. I'm sure their guts are just horrible, right? So he's in the guts of a fish. He comes out and his skin is probably shriveled up. It's probably pale. His clothes is murky and muddy and got all kind of nasty stuff on it, stains and stuff on it. You know what I'm saying? His robe and everything. I'm talking about he probably looked like a maniac. You feel what I'm saying? And he's walking through the city screaming, 40 days and Nineveh shall be overthrown. And that's how these prophets would do. Jeremiah the same way. That's why the Most High told him to set his face like flint. Jeremiah was a more gentle man, right? He was more sensitive. And so the Most High told him, man, you're going to go out here and you're going to proclaim this message and set your face like flint, because these people's faces are going to be hard towards you. But if they cause you to fear, then I'm going to bring you to shame, right? It's like, don't be afraid of them. Isaiah, he was different, because Isaiah will cuss you out. Isaiah, matter of fact, when he came to Isaiah and they asked him who would go for us, Isaiah was like, hey, man, my mouth need to be cleansed. How can I go and proclaim this and my mouth is unclean? So the angel literally had to come and cleanse his mouth to give him the confidence to go out to proclaim the word of God, because he didn't want to go, because he like, man, I be cussing mugs out, man. I don't play that, right? When you deal with Elijah, he bore a sword. He went around and not only did he scream out prophecies, but he'll cut your head off. You know what I'm saying? If you read about his protege Elisha, after Elijah got carried away, when the Most High sent the chariots for him and took him up or whatnot, and then Elisha, he took over. The first thing that happened was these kids came behind him calling him a bald-headed man. Go up, you bald-headed booger, right? And Elisha turned around and cursed them. And he called out, the Bible says, 2 she-bears that came out and ate up the kids, ate up the children. These prophets, they didn't play. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the prophecies of God. They're not games. They're not jokes. They're not something that we should take lightly. You know what I mean? They're not something that we should just wink at. You know what I'm saying? We should really try to understand these prophecies, because the prophecies rest with those who have wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the wisdom of God is in the prophecies. You know what I'm saying? When we read the prophetic writings of God, it's what shows God's power and God's might. That's what separates the Bible from any other book, any other religious book, whether it's the Quran, whether it's the writings of the Hadith, whether it's the Book of the Dead by the Egyptians, whether it's the ancient scrolls of the Buddhists, ancient scrolls of the East Indian people with Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma and all. Regardless of what, the thing that separates the Bible is that the Bible actually has predictions of things that you can go back and see. This actually was written before it happened, and we saw it come to pass. Therefore, we should either be encouraged or we should fear. We should either be encouraged or we should fear for the fact that the prophecies of God come to pass. Now, if he's proclaimed something good for us, then we should rejoice over that. But if he's proclaimed doom and gloom, It's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna happen. But as far as us, we should be excited about the prophecies of God, because the doom and gloom that he proclaims is for our benefit. And for the most part, he proclaims doom and gloom on the other nations. He proclaims that on us if we sin. But for the other nations, their destruction or their downfall is going to be to our rising. And that's the thing that we have to remember, when dealing with the prophecies of God, and when looking at the future. Everyone else's fall means everyone else's failure. The failure of that nation means the success of ours. That's when we will be able to be lifted up, if you will. Two things about prophecies is that, one, that prophecies are hard, that they're hard to understand. They're difficult to understand. Like I said, see, let me show you one right quick. And don't worry, just bear with me. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to, just kind of get everybody kind of ready for, to dive into this. Let's go here. Look. All right, this is Revelation 12:1. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven. So this is a sign. So this is a vision, a prophecy. All right. That's how the prophets would get them. They would get them in dreams. They would get them in visions. They would get them in, that's how they would come to them. Sometimes you would be asleep, and as you sleep, the Most High would come to a person in the sleep and make him have this dream that just messes him up. You wake up, you ever had a dream? You ever went to sleep, had a dream, and like it didn't make sense, but it just bothered you. You seen real people in your dreams, or something real, and it felt like it was real, and you woke up and you felt like, man, what did that mean? Right? A lot of times that can happen, but we have to be careful, because not all dreams are meant to be something. You know what I'm saying? But for these prophets, a lot of them, that's what will happen to them, right? It will bother them, right? Because God just visits you. So look what it said. Look, and there appeared a wonder in heaven. Revelation 12:1. A woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth, and pain to be delivered. So this says a wonder appeared in heaven, a pregnant woman who is dressed in the sun. How do you put on the sun? Like, she woke up one day and said, man, forget a sun dress. I'm gonna wear the sun. You know what I'm saying? And then stood on the moon, right? And then put on a crown. But the crown wasn't just any crown. It was a crown. The whole crown was just 12 stars floating around her head. And she started screaming because she's about to have a baby, standing on the moon, dressed in the sun with a crown. It's crazy, right? And then there appeared another one in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his head. And his tail drew a third of the stars of heaven. That's where we get it. And did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. So you see two weird, strange occurrences that we can say is not natural. A woman clothed in the sun, with standing on a moon with a crown of stars over her head, being pregnant, screaming because she's about to have a child. And while she's doing this, a big red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns standing by, waiting for her to have this baby so he can eat her baby. And this is where people take literal and think that in the last days, this is what we're gonna. One day you're gonna open your blinds early in the morning and you're gonna look out and it's gonna be dark and the moon will be like blood, and you're gonna see a woman standing on the moon with the, and you're gonna be like, where the sun at? Oh, well, lady, what you doing with the sun? Why is you wearing the sun? Right? Like, people really think that's gonna happen. They're gonna open up their blinds or be driving to the store and a big red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns gonna fly past their car. You know what I'm saying? That's not gonna happen. You see what I'm saying? This where his tail drew a third of the stars. This is where they say, oh yeah, the dragon is Satan. And this is where Satan, when he, tried to take God's throne, and he took a third of the angels with him, and then they got cast to the earth. This is that chapter where people come with that idea, and it is nonsense, right? It's nonsense because that's not what this is talking about. But prophecies that they're difficult to understand. And they're difficult to understand because you got to know the legends. You got to know how does the Bible use the sun metaphorically? How does it use the moon metaphorically? How does it use what are the 12 stars? Here's two metaphors that are used often in the Bible: the number 12 and stars are used in the Bible as metaphors. Who is this woman? How is that used in prophecy as metaphors? The dragon. What does it mean that there's a big red dragon? What does that mean? So there's a such thing as dragons? So dragons used to exist? What? Because the Bible talks about a dragon. The seven heads. That's another one. Heads. Remember, there's a scripture that says the husband, that God is the head of Christ, Christ the head of the husband, the woman head of, the man head of the woman. Christ the head of the man head of the woman. Same. This is what you have to understand what all this stuff means. Horns. Remember Luke 1? Oh, he's lifted up a horn of salvation for us in the house of our father David, right? So what does the horn represent? Why does it say 10? What does it mean that there's 7? What is these crowns talking about? So when you start looking into that, when you start reading the scriptures, and the Most High starts to give you wisdom according to what these things mean, because you got to remember, our people, that's how they wrote. Our people, they were poets, they were artists, they were people who wrote in musical form, right? Just like when you hear a rap song or you hear a music song, R&B song. A lot of these things are filled with metaphors, similes, right? That words or phrases that aren't literal. You know what I'm saying? But they mean something else. Well, that's how the Bible is written. It's a puzzle, it's a jigsaw puzzle. You got to know how to put it together, but you need to be able to follow the legend in order to know what these things mean, right? So let's look at something right quick, because I told you the Bible uses metaphors. Let's prove this right quick. Let's go to Hosea. We'll go to chapter 12, verse 10. It says, we'll start at 9. 12 and 9, excuse me. And I that am the Lord, your God, from the land of Egypt. Sorry. It's like the brother always reminded me of the record. Somebody remind me to make sure I change my translations. Hold me accountable, please. All right. So he says, but I am the Lord your God. Ever since the land of Egypt, I will again make you dwell in tents, as in the days of the appointed feast. So it's prophecy, right? He says, I have also spoken by the prophets and have multiplied visions. All right. I have given symbols through the witness of the prophets. And when you look at this word symbols in the true sense, it means a similitude, right? And a similitude, or a dharma, it means something that is like something, to be like something. You find that all through the Bible. God likens people to animals. He likens them to trees. He likens things to men. He calls Jerusalem a woman, right? What we just read in book of Revelation, that's Jerusalem, right? Jerusalem is likened unto a woman. It's like a woman. God likens himself as unto a husbandman. You see what I'm saying? Israel is called an olive tree, that like an olive tree. Christ is like a rock in a metaphoric sense, because he's dependable. You think about a rock or a foundation, you can build on top of a foundation. Christ is also likened to a lamb, right? A spotless lamb, meaning what? That he's in his first coming, he's docile, right? He's gentle. Just the same thing with the children of Israel. They're called the sheep of God. Why? Because not simply because they're docile, but one thing about, if you go and do some research on sheep are dumb. Sheep are so dumb they won't drink water if the water is moving, because they see their reflection in it. They won't drink it until it stops. Sheep won't even follow nobody except for the shepherd. They won't follow nobody except for the ones that they know. See what I'm saying? Sheep, that's why he calls himself the shepherd. He calls Christ the shepherd, right? God likens himself as to a husbandman, like a husband. He says he's the husband of Israel. He's their husband. He's the husband is a protector, provider, a giver of knowledge, a guidance, a guider, right? He's a rebuker, right? That's a husband rebuke. Husbands, if at times, they can seem mean. Same thing when you look at the Most High. Most High he can seem mean. It seems pretty mean that he sent his people into slavery. That's mean. You know what I'm saying? Heathen nations they're like goats. They liken them unto goats. That he contrasts the heathens or the non-Israelites. He calls them goats, and the Israelites, he called them sheep. Well, think about goats. Goats are aggressive. They're territorial, right? They can get violent, right? They pretty much do as they want. They do what they want to do. They move around and go as they want to go. They don't follow nobody. You got a goat in your backyard. You come outside, he's standing on your car. You know what I'm saying? You throw a rock at him, make him go. He'll run into the backyard. You go back in the house, come back outside. He missing. You look across the street, standing on your neighbor's roof. You're like, how the heck did you even get up there? Right? Goats. That's what they do. They just go. They don't follow direction. They don't follow what's good. They don't follow what's right. Right? And they eat anything. They ingest or they take in anything. Right? And they're able to digest these things. They're able to take these things in. You as an Israelite, you're not able to do that. The sheep can't do that. The sheep got to have a constant diet of grass, good grass. You know what I'm saying? Green grass, right? So that's, when you deal with cities, right? Kingdoms are called mountains, right? Countries at times are called hills. So that's so many different metaphors that the Bible uses. So let's look at one more right quick before we jump. Let's go to 3. All right. So look at an example. This is Joel 3:18.
Hey, how you doing? I would say, yeah, I'm all right. You doing all right? That's
Yeah,
good.
I'm doing
Have
good.
a good one.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, have a good one. All right. So Joel 3:18, and it shall come to pass in that day, right? That the mountains shall drop down new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and all the rivers of Judah shall flow with water, and a fountain shall come forth of the house of the Lord, and shall water the valley of Shittim or Chittim. Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. Now, when you look at this, right, he says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains, look at that, the mountains shall drop down new wine. They don't mean, a mug is gonna, when Christ come back, the mountains is gonna have Chardonnay flowing from it, right? Like, I'm gonna go to the mountain, you know what I'm saying? Go give me some Moscato. Well, here, take my bowl and bring me back some milk then, right? Because it said the hills will flow with milk, right? Well, what does all this stuff mean? Well, it's all these are just things that he's describing. It's similar to, right? These are metaphors, right? These mountains, the mountains that the kingdoms, the nations of these mountains or these nations or these kingdoms in that time will have new wine. What does new wine mean? It means new information, new knowledge. Why? Because when Christ comes back, everybody's going to have to keep the commandments of God. That's why in the book of Revelation says in this place is going to be the tree of life, right? The tree of life, the tree that gives life. Who is the tree of life? That's Israel. They're going to teach everybody how to keep God's commandments. They're going to teach everybody how to follow God. They're going to teach everybody how to keep the feast days. They're going to do that, right? The hills, these cities flow with milk. The idea of milk, same things. It's wisdom, it's understanding, knowledge. It's a new way. Just like when you see in the Bible, it says that the children of Israel went into a land that flowed with milk and honey, right? It doesn't mean that they went into this land and, they dove in a river that was just milk, and that, as they went about their way, when they came out and dried themselves off, they went to an ant hill and dug their hand in there and poured out some honey, right? It's not what that means. You see what I'm saying? Excuse me. But the Bible is filled with that, right? It's filled with similes, metaphors, and things like that. And some prophecies are yet to be fulfilled, and some have already come to pass, right? So let's look at something that is a very famous prophecy that has a lot of people mixed up. We'll go to Isaiah chapter 14 and we'll read. Watch. Isaiah 14, for the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and yet will choose Israel and set them in their own land, and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. He gives you a time. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and yet will choose Israel and set them in their land. This is when all of these things that he's going to say is going to take place. Well, we can look at this and know this hasn't taken place yet. Israel and Jacob hasn't been set back in their land. This is Isaiah talking. What happened during the time of Isaiah? right before the time of Isaiah, when Isaiah was prophesying, the nation of Israel went into Assyria. This is before they went into Assyria. So this is talking about sometime after. Well, here's the problem. The nation of Israel, though the northern kingdoms, they never came back. So if someone would say, "Oh, well, no, it's been fulfilled," after they came back from the captivity of Assyria. No, you can't say that, because they went from Assyria, and according to the Apocrypha, they went to a place called Arsareth. And if you look at some of the historical writings of the Journal of Christopher Columbus, he claimed that America is Arsareth, that was the way it was known in ancient times, that this land that no man lived in, even though people knew about this place, they knew about the North America, South America, and the islands, right? All of these places, that's all of that is considered America, right? That was all called Arsareth. They called that Arsareth. And people would come here, mine it, they would get resources from here, they would do that, and then they would go back to their own country. You know what I'm saying? Well, the children of Israel, the northern tribes, when they left Assyria, the Apocrypha says they got into a boat and they sailed across the rivers, and they came to this place. They came to a place called Arsareth. So we know that everything that happens, everything that happens after this is going to happen in the future, because this is going to take place or get fulfilled, or this prophecy is going to get fulfilled when Israel and Judah, because that's Jacob and Israel. This is Judah, the southern kingdom, and this is the northern kingdoms, the northern tribes, when they're back in their own land. Both of those tribes have not been back to their own land since the time before Israel went to Assyria, right? And it says, and strangers shall be joined to them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Meaning the strangers are the aliens, the non-Israelites. They're going to join them or be cleave to them. And then when they do go over there, they're going to be taken there. And when they go there, it says the people shall take them. Who? The Israelites. They would take them and bring them to that place. They were going to bring them to Israel, and they're going to possess them in the land of the Lord. As what? As servants and handmaids. The same way that's what Israel is. That's what you are now in America. You are a servant. You are a slave. I know, we do the whole, people think that they could change something by voting. No, you can't change nothing by voting, because at the end of the day, matter of fact, while we're going through this, I need one of you brothers real quick. Just pull up Daniel 2, 20 through 22, and just hold it, and then just read it whenever I call for it or whatnot. Because I want to establish something right before we get too deep in it. All right. But say he's gonna take them and they're gonna possess them as servants and handmaids, right? So meaning Israel is gonna be the top nation. They're going to be the ones ruling over the entire world, and everyone else is going to have to work for them, right? To whatever extent. And according to the Bible, Christ is going to rule with a rod of iron, meaning he not for play. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no compromising, ain't no having your own gods, ain't no having your own religion, ain't no freedom of religion, ain't no freedom of press, ain't no all these freedoms that people claim that there is. You're not going to have that under the rulership of Christ, right? It says, and they are going to take them captives, whose captives they were. So all the people who enslaved the Israelites, the Most High is going to turn the tables, and he's going to make those rulers who ruled over Israel, he's going to make them their captives and their slaves, their servants and their handmaids. And the people of Israel, the children of Israel, shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall give you rest from your sorrows and from your fear and from the hard bondage wherein you were made to serve, that you shall take up this proverb against the king of Babylon. Here's a problem, right? Because remember what we say, cities. That's another one of those things that God does in prophecies. At the time of this, Babylon, the king of Babylon was Nebuchadnezzar. But this prophecy is way after the time of Isaiah. So there's a place in the Bible, and if for you who are students of the Bible, who have read the Bible, a lot or whatnot, that this phrase, Babylon, or this word Babylon, or this city Babylon, is referenced so much even after the destruction of Babylon. This is what Babylon is today. Watch this. Iraq. Hold on, Babylon. This is what Babylon is today. This is Babylon. Ain't no king here. What king is here? What rulership is are they doing? Like, there's nobody ruling here. There's nobody ruling. If you want to say, okay, well, I mean, it's Iraq, that's fine, but Iraq don't rule the world. Iraq is not a superpower. You know, Iraq is not a superpower at all, right? Look, and we're gonna know this is a superpower because watch the prophecy. All right. He says that you should take up this proverb against who? The king of Babylon. And this is what you ought to say. In that day, when? In the end, in the last days, when I'm bringing you back to your land. This is what you're going to say to the king of this place, Babylon. You're going to say, how has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. The Lord has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hinder it. So this king is gonna be a reflection of old Babylon. But the thing about old Babylon is that when you look at Nebuchadnezzar ruled by the hand of God. The Most High put Nebuchadnezzar in place. That's why he called him the head of gold. He was the gold standard for rulership as far as God was concerned. Matter of fact, the Most High visited him and told him to humble himself through the angel that told him to humble himself, or through Daniel told him to humble himself for that simple fact. The simple fact that God is who gave him his rulership, right? It says, verse 7, the whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. The whole earth is at rest because the king of Babylon has ceased. So we got to find out who is this Babylon? What is this Babylon in order to know who the king of it is in the last days, right? Because this king or this person or these people are ruling the whole world, and they're ruling the whole world, the nations, in anger, right? And through persecution. And nobody can stop them, meaning they got a great army, they got crazy weapons, like nobody can stop them from their rulership, right? But one day, somebody obviously is going to stop them because they're going to be brought down. The golden city is going to cease, right? And the whole earth will be at rest because of it. It says, verse 8, yea, here go another one. The fir trees rejoice at you, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since you are laid down, no feller is come up against us. Since you've been out of here, since you've been gone to fir trees, this is a nation. Fir trees, there ain't no real fir tree, and then I know real cedar trees talking, right? These nations are considered as trees, just like what we talked about in Genesis chapter 3. When the Most High told them that of all the trees of the garden you can eat from, except for this tree. He's not talking about trees. He's talking about people. So when people say, oh, sin came because Eve ate an apple, that's not true. See what I'm saying? It's because she took in information. Remember, the way the tongue tastes food is the same way the mind ingests words, information, knowledge. That's in the scriptures, right? So says, hell from beneath, or the grave from beneath, or the low place from beneath, the ghettos, the hardships, all these places from beneath is moved. The people that's in these places are moved for you to meet you at your coming, meaning you're going to be one of them. You're going to be brought down the same way you brought down other people and made them poor and brought poverty to them and restricted them from rising. You're going to be brought down to that same place, and you're going to become as one of them. It stirs up the dead for you, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say to you, are you also become weak as we? Are you become like unto us? Your pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of your vows. The worm is spread under you, and the worms cover you. See, dark sayings, right? It's a dark saying. Watch this. How are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning, bearer of light? How are you cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? It's talking about the same person. Talking about the same person. This is not talking about Satan. This is not saying that the spiritual demon Satan used to be a good angel, and then he was over the choir and he had everybody singing and everybody was singing God's praises. And then he decided, you know what? I will ascend into heaven. How is the spiritual demon saying that if that's where he already is? If he's already in heaven, then why is he saying in his heart, I will ascend into heaven? He's already there, right? I thought he got kicked out of heaven. So if he got kicked out of heaven, why is he saying I will ascend into heaven? Already there, bro. You're crazy, right? because this ain't talking about the spiritual demon Satan. This is talking about this person who is called, or this nation of people, or power. I would just say a power called the king of Babylon. This person, because he's ruling all things, and since he's ruling over the world, in his heart, he's saying, I will ascend into heaven. Heaven just means high places. If you want to take it literal and say into the sky, that's fine with me. Watch what you say. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. There go that stars again. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. So my rulership, I will exalt that above the stars of God. Here's a kicker for you. Stars are not just are angels, just consider angels. Stars in the Bible are used toward wise men, people that are wise, the wise men of God. So this person said, I will exalt my throne above the wisdom or the wise ones of God. And I will sit also upon the mount. Remember, a mountain is a kingdom. Which mountain? Of the congregation. Who is the congregation in the Bible? The congregation in the Bible is the Israelites. That's the church. That's where you get the word church from. The assembly, congregation, assembly, church. They're all the same thing. From the New Testament all the way to the old. I mean, from the Old Testament all the way to the New Testament. Just in the New Testament, it's in English, it's called the church. They say the church, right? But remember last week when we explored that in the book of Acts, showed there's no such thing as a universal church. The church is the church that was in the wilderness with Moses. Remember, the church is the congregation. So he's saying, I will sit upon the mountain or upon the kingdom, the authority of the Israelites in the sides of the north, right? Says, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. Now, if you want to get into some literal and physical stuff, this saying, man, I'm going to be out of this world. Now I'm going to go heights that no one has ever went. I'm going to go above the heights of the clouds, and I will be like the Most High. Now, right now, you're probably like, oh, what's the point? You will see, right? You will see. It says, but you will be brought down to hell, or you will be brought down to the ground. You will be brought down low. You will be cast down. Cast down from where? In heaven. But once again, don't think Satan, the spiritual demon Satan, being cast out of heaven. Heaven, as a really quick reminder, you got to remember, when you see that something being cast out of heaven, you cannot think you can't think literal heaven like where God lives. This is Lamentation 2:1. How has the Lord covered the daughters of Zion with a cloud in his anger, and has cast from heaven unto the earth the beauty of Israel, and remembered not his footstool in the day of his anger. Being cast from heaven to the earth does not mean you was up there with God and then came down onto the earth. What it means is that you were in a place of opulence. You were in a place of glory. You was, just, same way we use the word high horse. Somebody on their high horse. You're on your high horse. It's a similitude or a metaphor to mean that someone who is sitting above others, thinking himself to be better, because everybody else is beneath or below him, and he's sitting on his horse. That comes from the book of Acts, when Paul got thrown off of his horse, right? When Christ appeared to him, he was proud, going on his way to go and arrest his brethren who were believing in Christ, because he felt like that they were blaspheming by preaching forgiveness from sins without burning sacrifices. So that was a blasphemous thing, or a punishment. That was a punishment or a crime that was punishable by death, right, under their law. And so when it says that he cast down their beauty, this is them when they were going into Babylon, right? When they got captured by Nebuchadnezzar and it was taken into Babylon. And this is why they're saying that we once were opulent. We once were in our own land. We once had our own thing going, because this, according to a lot of the historians and the scholars, the book of Lamentation is a book of Jeremiah, right? Jeremiah is the prophet of this book. All right. So this is when they were in heaven, just like when we see heaven on earth. When we think about a person living in heaven on earth, it means that they're living in a place of prosperity or a place of opulence, right? And it says that he cast that beauty, the opulence, that the beauty of Israel was their opulence. The fact they had their own country, their own land, their own laws, their own ways. They was able to worship how they wanted to worship according to how God told them to worship. That was beautiful to them, right? And it was beautiful to God. But because of that sin, God said, man, scratch this stuff. And then he destroyed it and brought them low and made them regular. Matter of fact, not only did he make them regular, he made them below regular. He made them servants. Here's a nation of that the prophecy says will be a nation of kings and priests made to be servants and slaves to people who are inferior to them, right? That's what all that is talking about. So when you see all of this, you have to understand like this ain't talking about spiritual demon Satan. And the Bible is consistent, right? And we're gonna see a lot of this talk even as we move forward and we jump back into the so-called New Testament, right? But another thing about prophecy, in order to know if a prophecy has come to pass, you have to know history, right? That's if you don't know history, if history bores you, then you're not going to understand prophecy. That's why a lot of people just kind of okay with this being the spiritual demon Satan, because they're not willing to do the footwork. They're not willing to go in and see, oh, wait, the children of Israel, they went into the slavery under the Assyrians in 722 BC. And then children of Judah, they went to slavery under in Babylon in like 640 something BC. And wait a minute, hold on. People aren't willing to do the homework. People aren't willing to take time and sit down and really, with their spare time, do and understand, in some cases, a lot of cases, understandably so. You just have to be willing to make the sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? But if you don't know history or you don't like history, then you're not gonna know prophecy, because prophecies deal in time. See what I'm saying? The prophecies of God, they always are given a time. You have a lot of prophecies in the Bible that have been fulfilled, right? You have prophecies that's been fulfilled way back then. You have prophecies from back then that wasn't fulfilled until, time of Christ or after, right? Some prophecies are meant for then, some prophecies are meant for now. Some prophecies are meant for the future, for the last days. When you look around the world today and you see how things are going within the world, within the government of America, then you look at Russia, and then you look at China, and then you look at Korea, and you look all around the world, and then you look at the weather, you look at the weather patterns, you look at all these things, you look at economies, you look at all that stuff. You can find those things in the Bible if you're astute enough to do the homework and to do the studies. The Most High, he will reveal that to you, because he reveals it to his children, right? So another thing about prophecy is that prophecies are cyclical in nature, right? Cyclical means they're on a cycle, meaning they're always recurring. Every prophecy is always, the prophecies he gives are current. Let me show you what I mean by that. Even though it could be fulfilled at a time, it could come back around, right? Let's look at the classic Deuteronomy 28, right? Let's look at this prophecy. All right. Deuteronomy 28:15, but it shall come to pass that if you will not hearken unto the voice of the Lord your God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command you this day, that all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you, right? And then he names all these curses. It's easy to say, watch, let me show you right quick, because this is during the time when they were in the wilderness with Moses, right? So we look at Deuteronomy 28:36. The Lord shall bring you and the king which you shall set over you unto a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known, and there you shall serve other gods, wood and stone, and you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead you. It's easy to look at that and say, yeah, that was fulfilled when you had Sennacherib, King Sennacherib with the Assyrians. He took the northern kingdoms. He was from another nation, and the Most High sent them and their king over there. And then you had the Babylonians, where Nebuchadnezzar came in and he took the southern tribes, and they went over there, and they all ended up serving other gods. Or a lot of them served other gods. Their fathers. Well, here's the problem, right? Their fathers knew the Babylonians. Their fathers also knew the Assyrians. So even though this is a fulfillment also of Babylon and Assyria, it's also a fulfillment of things that happens in the future. Because every time that the children of Israel would keep the commandments, the Most High would rescue them. Because the Israelites went into, as far as major captivities, they went into 4 major captivities. There was captive under the Egyptians, there was captive under the Babylonians, there was captive under the Persians, there was captive under the Assyrians. Then that's not even counting the Greeks, the Romans, the Philistines, the Amorites. I think it was the Amorites or the Ammonites, whichever one. But that's 8 right there. I'm just counting off the top of my head, right? So every time that they would sin, the Most High would send them into slavery. Every time they would sin. But then I guess he, he just got enough of you. Like, you know what? I tell you what, you keep going, because remember what we read in Leviticus 26, how he said, if you keep hardening your heart and keep walking contrary to me, then I will punish you 7 more times. And I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this. And if you still don't repent and walk contrary to me, then I'm gonna punish you 7 more times, and I'm gonna do this. And they got harsher and harsher and harsher. So did these curses, till finally he said, and the Lord shall bring you to Egypt, or to bondage again, with ships this time. Because they walked out of Egypt, but this time they walked out of Mizraim, which is a house of bondage, which is what the word Egypt means. It means 2 straits, meaning house of bondage, right? Slavery. It says, this time I'm gonna take you by ships, by the way whereof I spake unto you, that you shall see it no more again, your homeland. And there you shall be sold to your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you, right? So he's like, ultimately, if you keep on, these, as far as your behavior and breaking the commandments and breaking and not keeping the covenant, ultimately, I'm just gonna go and get you up out of here, and I'm gonna send you to a place of slavery on ships, and to a place that you don't know and your fathers don't know, and there you're gonna serve other people, and you're never gonna see your homeland again until I come and get you. Matter of fact, sit your butt over there till I come back. That's basically what he's saying, because during these other times, they will come back. They will, he will raise up a judge, and then that judge would deliver them, like Moses. Moses, he was the judge that he raised, delivered them out of the hand of the Egyptians, right? As far as the Babylonian was concerned, he raised up King Cyrus. King Cyrus rose up, defeated the Babylonians. He died. Darius came first, and then he wrote a decree for them to be let go from Babylon. And then when he died, because I'm getting my timeline wrong. I'm sorry. Cyrus wrote the decree. He defeated the Babylonians. Then Darius rose up, and when Darius rose up after Cyrus, he allowed them to go back to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. And then after Darius' rulership, that's when Alexander the Great rose up, and Alexander the Great killed Darius. And then Alexander the Great, he had a good relationship with the Israelites, but he died young, he died quick, and then his kingdom was split between the 4 generals that he had, which was his 4 boyfriends, and then he split his kingdom between them, and Antiochus Epiphanes enslaved them again. That's what you get from the book of the Maccabees. If you ever read in the Apocrypha, the book of the Maccabees, that's what happened. Once again, like I said, it's historical. So the Bible is not just some spiritual book. It's good for that. Don't get me wrong. It's good to know what God requires of you, how to get eternal life, how to make it into the kingdom, how to be forgiven from by God. It's good. It has all that information: how to be a husband, how to be a wife, how to be a child, how to be a father, how to be a mother, how to be a business person. It gives you all of that information, but it's also a history book. It's a book on history. Paul said these things were written for our instruction and for our learning. So it's also that. So we can't just look at it as one big spiritual book. We have to marry the two, but we have to be able to look around the world and see the history that has happened, that has taken place in the world, to come to a place of understanding that, hey, the Bible actually speaks on these things. So where do I fit within the history of the world according to the Bible, right? Because most prophecies, here's another, most prophecies are delivered through dreams and visions. Right? Most of them are not, well, if not all the prophecies, right? Like I said, if you watch certain movies, people will do stuff like, they'll, get some coaches, they make their prophets have crystal balls, right? They rub the crystal ball and, oh, crystal ball, tell me my future, right? And then some picture will come up, and then they'll see something happen. They'll tell them, oh, 10 years from now, I see you walking down the street, and oh, what is this? Oh no. Oh, you get eaten. What? I get eaten? Yes, you get eaten by a horse. Oh, very excruciating, right? It's crazy stuff, right? But most prophecies, that's a vision, right? That's a vision that the person supposedly have. Some people, like I told you earlier about 300, a woman, she smoked the rocks and then she goes into a trance. And then when you look in the Bible, it happened with a lot of our people where they have visions. Some of them will be wide awake. And they're just like the Apostle John. He was on the Isle of Patmos in the book of Revelation. He claimed he was just chilling in the spirit, you praying, meditating, and then boom, out of nowhere, he's taken up in the spirit, and the whole world changes, and he has this vision that about the end, and he sees Christ, and Christ tells him to write down these things, right? But then you have some people like Daniel. Daniel, he has dreams. He went to sleep and had a dream. Joseph, he went to sleep, he had a dream about prophecy. Remember the wheat and the chaff, and he saw his mother and his father and his brothers bowing down to him and all this kind of stuff, and they got mad at him. Come to find out, the prophecy was about him being in Egypt, saving them out of a famine, bringing them to the land of Egypt, putting them in Goshen, where they thrived and they end up becoming a nation, right? So all of these things, are mechanisms and ways that God uses, or the way he gives prophecies. But when, just for you prophets that are on here, because some of us are prophets, right? Some of us have these weird strengths. Some of you don't remember your dreams. It don't mean you're not a prophet. It just means you're not tapped in or you're not aware. But some of us who have these crazy dreams, and it's hard to tell at times whether something is a prophecy from God or whether it's just a crazy dream, right? Because the Bible in the book of, let me show you something right quick before I do that. Look, this is the book of Ecclesiastes. This is what it says, because we have to be careful, right? It says, this is Ecclesiastes 5:3. For a dream comes through the multitude of business, and a fool's voice is known by the multitude of words. So a dream says, some dreams just happen just because your mind is occupied with things, right? You get into it with your spouse and you go to sleep, or you're not spouse, even if it's not your spouse, your significant others or whatever. You go to sleep and you have a dream that they talking to somebody else, and you wake up, you hot to my mad, fight mad. I know you doing something you ain't got no business doing, right? And it's like, no, it's just something you've been either consciously or subconsciously meditating on, certain insecurities that you're having. It doesn't mean that this person is going to go out and do something crazy, and it doesn't mean that they are doing something crazy, and it doesn't mean that they have done something crazy. It's just, you have to rest your mind. You have to be confident in your situation, and you have to be willing to work through things and communicate and talk and work out problems, right? Because dreams come through a multitude of business. You know what I'm saying? I've seen myself die in my dreams. I've killed people in my dreams. I've seen people being killed in my dreams. I've seen the world end in my dreams. I've seen people lives end in my dreams. I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff in my dreams. And there was times where I would wake up and feel like, wait a minute, like, is that real? They're like, is this gonna happen? Is this so? Is this? And it's like, no, it's just dreams come through a multitude of business, and we have to be careful, because if we're not careful, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day, man, you can really, really, really put yourself in some real trouble believing in dreams that didn't come from God. That's why it's good to have counsels. Look at this. This is Sirach, chapter 34. I'm just reading. We'll start at Vision of Dreams. I will start at 1, and this will read down to 7. All right. The hopes of a man void of understanding are vain and false, and dreams lift up fools. So when a fool is lifted up because of his dreams, it's because he's void of an understanding, right? You have a dream that you won $1 million in the lottery. So you go and play the lottery, and before the numbers even come out, you go to your job, cuss your boss out, and tell them, I'm out of here because I know I'm gonna win this $1 million. Then they flash the numbers on the screen, and boy, you're gonna be depressed because the numbers ain't gonna hit, and you're gonna have to go back, find you another job at this point, right? Says, whosoever regards dreams is like him that catches at a shadow, or that chases a shadow and follows after the wind. The vision of dreams is the resemblance of one thing to another, even as the likeness of a face to face. So it's saying the vision of dreams, he says, is the resemblance of one thing to another, meaning you in your life or in reality while you're awake, something is going on in your life. You go to sleep, you're going to dream about something that kind of ties into whatever's going on in your life, even if it doesn't look like that. You see what I'm saying? Even if it's not the same players or the same things, but you're going to have it's possible to have a dream about something that has something to do with something that's going on in your reality, right? It says, even as the likeness of a face to face, of an unclean thing, what can be cleansed? And from that thing which is false, what truth can come? So if you have a dream and it feels real, but God didn't send it, then ain't nothing gonna come about it. No matter how hard you pray about it, no matter how hard you want it to happen, you can have a dream about it. You came upon $1 billion, and if that's not the Lord's will, it's not gonna happen. No, Lord, please let this come. No, it ain't the Lord's will. You just having a dream. You know what I'm saying? Divinations and soothsayings and dreams are vain, and the heart fancieth as a woman's heart in travail. If they be not from the Most High in your visitation, meaning when you go to sleep, because that's how they believe that the most high visits us in our dreams at times, and he does. I can attest to that. I have had dreams that I've dreamed and they came true, or there were things that were true, right? Says if the Lord didn't do it, then don't set your heart upon those things. Why? Because dreams have deceived many, right? And they have failed that put their trust in them. It's sort of like a false prophecy. Sort of like you go to this is how prophecies work. For the most part, if I give you a prophecy, if I say God gave me a word for you, and it's supposed to be some future prophecy or some future thing, something that's going to be done in the future, you should have some reference of what I'm talking about. I should never come to you and give you a prophecy about something that you have no clue. Your spirit should, even if you contend with it, your spirit should be able to identify with it, should be able to relate to it. If I give you a prophecy, you should be able to look at anybody for that matter. If you go up and you know that dog on me, you ain't if you ain't I don't know. I, I don't. In any case, somebody give you like prophet, like the whole prosperity gospel thing, the whole prosperity thing, and then man, everybody they oh God, no, they telling everybody that they're going to be rich. Everybody gonna be. Come on, man, look around. You can tell that was false because everybody's not rich, right? A lot of tons, still way more poor people than there are rich people. Even though there are people who have become rich, there's so many still. And they, oh, you have no. Maybe it's not your lot. Maybe it's not God's will for you, for whatever case. And some people who get rich, some people God makes rich to their destruction, for their destruction. And some people He make rich because for the sake of helping others, right? For the sake of giving to others, right? So the prosperity things is one of those things that went out that were false, right? It was a prophecy. Every church you went to, some prophet or some pastor, some evangelist or some apostle got up and was telling people about how they're gonna know money cometh, right? Money cometh to me now. And if you do this and you give your money to the church and you give your money to the pastor, God is gonna bless you. Look at, He said, if you pay your tithes, He will open up the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that you won't have room enough to receive. And it's lies, right? All lies, and people put their hope in that. And people have gone bankrupt, and people have right now have lost homes and cars and families and marriages and children and things like that because they put their hope into a dream or into a vision that a prophet or a man who claimed to be a prophet came and told them, right? So we have to be careful. So we have to be responsible with prophecies, all right? All right. So one of my last points is that some prophecies have what's called dual fulfillment. All right, and this is one of the last things we'll look at right quick. Let me see what we at. All right, we got a little time before we run into that. All right, or before we end, so I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna respect y'all time and go keep y'all too long. All right, what am I looking for? I'm looking for Isaiah chapter 7. All right, so let's look at this prophecy. All right. All right, look, Isaiah 7:10. Moreover, the Lord spake again unto Ahaz. Now, just give you a quick overview of this. King Ahaz was the king of the southern kingdom. He was king of Judah, right? The northern king had teamed up with the northern kingdom's king had teamed up with the king of Syria, right? And they got together and they was devising to come after the king of Judah to destroy Judah and to kill them, right? So then he goes and prays to God, and God sends Isaiah the prophet to him, and Isaiah tells him, and we're gonna see this, the conversation. So I'm just catching you up, all right? Because the Most High, like, nah, heck, nah, we ain't even for the rock like that, right? So Isaiah 7:10. Moreover, the Lord spake unto Ahaz, saying, ask thee a sign of the Lord your God. Ask it either in the depth or in the height above. So he said, God told me to tell you, ask him for a sign that he's going to save you. And then Ahaz says, I will not speak. He said, I will not ask, neither will I tempt the Lord. And he said, and see, ain't that what people tell you? Not to question God. Don't question God. Don't ask him for a sign because Christ said a perverted generation seek a sign. No, he said that because he's already doing miracles, which were prophecies, things that were prophesied that the Messiah would do, and they were still denying that he was the Messiah, and they were still asking him for a sign to show us that you're the Messiah. And he like, fool, I'm opening the eyes of the blind, I'm giving deaf people their hearing again, I'm raising the dead. I'm taking a couple fish and a couple loaves of bread and feeding over 5,000 people. How many more signs do you need? And then he says, for a perverted generation seeks a sign. Y'all mothers is crazy. I'm showing you, I'm giving you the signs, idiot. That's pretty much what he was saying, right? So the Most High is not upset at a sign. Sometimes you may need a sign to have confidence in something that you're unsure of. That's not wrong to ask that. And that's up to the Lord to give it to you or not. But it's not wrong to ask him for a sign of something. Like if you need something confirmed, Lord, it's something I feel, I don't know if you want me to do it or not, and I'm afraid to mess it up. I don't know if it's the right decision or not. Would you please just give me a sign? But you got to be okay with the sign that he's gonna bring. You got to be expected to receive it so that you don't miss it, right? And if you see the sign and if the sign goes against what you wanted to do, you have to be humble enough to go, you know what? This is a sign that God doesn't want me to do that. As bad as I want to do that, this is a sign that the Lord told me not to do that, right? And he said, and this is Isaiah said, hear now, O house of David, it is a small thing for you to weary men, but will you also weary God? Will you weary God too? With all your religious jargon, all this, I'm not going to ask for a sign. I will not tempt God. It's sounding deep, but God said, ask for a sign, fool, right? And he's like, man, oh my gosh, we're here. Therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign then. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good. For before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that you abhors or you hate shall be forsaken of both her kings. So when you see this, this is a prophecy that was meant for who? King Ahaz. What is he telling him? He's telling him, behold, a virgin, a alma, the word alma, doesn't always mean a woman who hasn't had relations with a man, right? It just means a damsel, a maid, right? A virgin, a young woman. It's just how they talk. He's just basically saying a young woman of marriageable age, right? Or a maid. A maid is a woman who hasn't had relations with a man, but it also is ascribed to a woman who is newly married, right? This newly married woman has had intimacy with her husband, which is what makes her marriage. It's what makes her married, right? She's married, but she's still called a virgin. See what I'm saying? Even though she's been with the man, she could be pregnant and she's called a virgin, even though she's pregnant. And that the father of that child is not a God in the heavens. That's Greek mythology. The father of that child is a man who went in unto that woman. And watch this. So he tells him that, and let's watch this prophecy come to pass, right? Look, verse 1. Moreover, the Lord said unto me, it's Isaiah, take thee a great roll and write on it with a man's pen concerning Mahershal al-Hashbaz. Mahershal al-Hashbaz. And I took unto me faithful witnesses to record Uriah the priest and Zechariah the son of Jeberechiah. And I went unto the prophetess, and she conceived and bare a son. Then the Lord said to me, the same child, call his name Mahershal al-Hashbaz. However you say that. I can't say that 3 times fast. Don't even ask. For before the child shall have knowledge to cry, father or mother, before he even know how to say my mama or my daddy, says the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria. The two kingdoms, right? The 2 kings that he just told them that before this child is old enough to know good from evil, to discern good from bad, then the 2 kings will be done away with, right? Damascus and the spoil of Samaria shall be taken away before the king of Assyria. So he says before this child that he first called Emmanuel, and let's prove this. So you know, because you can say, no, this is talking about another child. Okay, well, let's finish. The Lord, this chapter 8, verse 5. The Lord spake also unto me again, saying, for as much as the people refuse the waters of Shiloh that go softly and rejoice in Rezin and Remaliah's son, this is the king. Rezin was the king of Damascus. This is the king of Syria, Remaliah, or vice versa. I can't remember. Right? Says, now therefore, behold, the Lord bring up upon them the waters of the river, strong and many. This is another dark saying. Waters of the rivers. These are nations. These are people, right? And it calls a nation that has diverse people it calls them seas, or it calls them rivers, or it calls them waters. And the reason it does that, because when you look at the ocean is not segregated. See what I'm saying? You're gonna find the octopus with the fish, and the fish with the sharks, and the sharks with the whale, and the whale with the crabs, and the crabs with the shrimp with the plankton, the plankton with all of it is just a gumbo, right? It's not like on the land, right? May have a neighborhood that's got nothing but black people, a neighborhood got nothing but white people, neighborhood got nothing but Mexican, neighborhood got nothing but Chinese, or countries like that, right? Where they're separated, segregated. Well, in the waters, it's not like that, all right? So it says, strong and many, even the king of Assyria and all his glory, and he shall come up over all his channels and go over all his banks. And he shall pass through Judah. He shall overflow and go over. He shall reach even to the neck, and the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of thy land, O Emmanuel. And this is not talking about Emmanuel is going to be doing these things. It's saying that this is what's going to happen to the land of Emmanuel. But Emmanuel was given as a sign, or this child was given as a sign, that when you see this child, before he's good, before he knows good from evil, before he's able to grow up and say mama and daddy, I'm gonna send these northern tribes and Syria, I'm gonna send them into captivity under the Assyrians. That's how you're gonna know that God is with you, because that's what Emmanuel means, right? Dual prophecy. Why do we say dual prophecy? Because when you go to the book of Matthew, chapter 1, all y'all should know this, right? You know, you're like, oh, nah, man, this is Jesus, right? Look, Matthew 1:22. Now all this was done that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, behold, a virgin shall be with child. We just read that, right? And we just saw it come to pass. But as a dual fulfillment, meaning what? Some of the prophecies are cyclical in nature. See what I'm saying? They're recurrent. So it's current again in the day of Christ. And this is applied to him. That why is it applied to him? It says, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which is just a Aramaic or a different way of saying Emmanuel. I am. We click on it, which I won't do, but if you click on it, you'll see that the root is what we just read in the Old Testament, right? But it says, which being interpreted is God with us. Then it's this name. Where do you ever see in the scripture somebody say, hey, Emmanuel? Oh, no, it's Emmanuel. Oh, all praise Emmanuel. Oh, Hosanna, Hosanna in the highest, Hosanna to Emmanuel. When do you see them saying that? They never say that, because this is just an epithet or a title, right? This is a word that means something else in prophecy. And in prophecy, what it means is that when you see this child, just same way you saw in Isaiah, when you see this child, that is evidence that God is with you. Why was that important? Because Israel needed a redeemer. Just like Ahaz, he needed somebody to save him from the hands of the northern kingdom, the northern tribe king, and the land of Syria. So God said, I'm going to give you a sign that I am going to save you. I'm going to help you. And the sign is you're going to see this woman. She's going to get pregnant. She's going to have a baby, and he's going to be known as the Emmanuel. His name was Mahershala Shalashabash, right? I know that's crazy, right? Can't remember how to say it. Like I said, don't ask me to say it 3 times fast. Some crazy, right? It's crazy work. But that child name, just like Christ's name, was not Emmanuel, right? His name was Yahweh Shai, right? But he's called the Emmanuel because his presence means that God is with them. Why is that important? Because they need someone to save them from the hands of their enemies, per Luke chapter 1, verse 67 through 71, right? So that's how that's how you interpret that prophecy, if you will. All right. So we're at the 3:00 mark. We got a little more to go on this for when we break down this Second Thessalonians right quick for this part 1. Y'all come off mute right quick. Talk to me. Everybody's quiet. I've been talking a lot, and I've been talking fast, and I've been trying to not to rush too hard, where y'all can at least catch. Hopefully, y'all can get some of these precepts. Somebody talk to me. Where y'all at? How y'all feeling about it?
Well, I did get some parts, but I'm at work or whatever, so it's like some parts I didn't get, but since you do screen recorded or whatever, I'm glad that I can go back and look at stuff. So sorry I wasn't able to give out
Oh,
too
for
much
sure. No, you
information,
good.
but yeah, that's why
You
I'm at
good.
with it though.
I just want to know from y'all, is it confusing? Is it confused? Because right now, what I'm trying to do is just show y'all how prophecies work. Before we jump, because I could easily just go in and we can just go and break down 2 Thessalonians. But at the end of the day, man, I want y'all to be able to read the Bible and understand what's going on for yourselves. I don't want y'all to end up going through the Bible talking about y'all see leprechauns. Like, oh, it's such thing as leprechauns. Because the Bible talk about, like, no, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's what got us jacked up, because there's so many crazy, just bunch of nonsense stuff that
Yeah,
we've been taught because people don't understand how to break down prophecies. So I'm just trying to
definitely.
show y'all why these things mean what they mean, because when we
Mhm.
jump into this Thessalonians, we're gonna see certain points, and it's gonna bring us to a point. Like I said, this is just part one of it, because I'm gonna do the spiritual side of today, and then next week we're gonna talk about the natural side of why, because we're still talking about Romans 9, right? Vessels of honor, vessels of dishonor. And so you can fully understand, so that you can fully understand it, it's good to be able to contrast in order to build your faith, to know that you are a vessel of honor. Simple as that. As an Israelite, you were born as a vessel of honor. He made you from clay, as the clay, as that lump of clay is the vessel of honor, right? So anybody else? Thank you, but I appreciate that, Rika.
Oh, no
For
problem.
somebody else, give me some. Where y'all at? How y'all feeling, man? Y'all good? Everybody good? Y'all straight? Let me get some. Let me get some.
Well, I'm
Yeah, we
straight.
straight. Y'all straight? That's Mundo. Y'all straight? Everybody's. Can I get a
Yeah, I'm
couple
good.
more people say they straight?
I'm straight.
I'm straight.
Okay. Oh, that's Pancake right there. Hey, Pancake say she's straight. I'm just gonna go on dip on y'all like that, because I know Pancake ain't sitting here getting the information, and y'all can't get the information.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you straight. Because right there, I bet. So let's all right, let's eat then. Let's go. All right. So real quick, let me see where we at. All right, I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna make it fast. All right, just hang with me. Somebody, did anybody grab that Daniel 2 for me?
Yeah, I got it.
Read that for me, bro, please.
You said Daniel 2:20 or 2:22?
2 and 20, 2:20, 2:20 to 22.
All right. Daniel 2, verse 20. Daniel answered and said, "Blessed be the name of Eloah forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. And he changes the times and the seasons. He removes kings and sets up kings. He gives wisdom unto the wise, knowledge to them that know understanding. He reveals the deep and secret things. He knows what it is in the darkness, and the light dwells with him."
Appreciate that. Back to the theme. What is the theme of the overall overarching message, or the message overall is that God does what He wants to do. Period. He a boss. He the boss. He does what he wants. There is no such thing as this, oh, well, God does all the good things and then somebody else does the bad things. You know, God made all the good people and then somebody else made all the bad people. God made all the righteous people and then it's the devil who make all the bad people. No, God made them all. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Satan, God made Satan good, but it was on Satan for him to rebel and be evil. God had nothing to do. No, God made him like that. God made him with this thirst to come down and deceive you. He made him like that. He made him with the thirst to trip you up. We read that in 2 Kings 15, right? We read that. We've gone through that. We've read how, the Most High will make his plans known to all the angels of heaven, whether they're good or bad, the good angels and the evil angels, as we call them, right? Because evil just means calamity. And he makes those plans known. And then there are angels who will step up and say, I'll go down. Or what you going to do? I'll go down and kill that fool. And God will say, I bet. Make that happen. That's what he said, right? With Ahab, right? Who will go down to cause Ahab to fall at Ramoth Gilead? And then this angel says this, the spirit says this, and then one spirit said, I'll go down. And the Lord said, how will you do it? I'll go down, I'll be a lying tongue in the mouth of his prophets, make him go out to battle, and they'll kill him. And the Most High blessed him and said, you shall do well. Go make it happen. So by the time that the prophet shows up to give the prophecy to the king of Judah and the king of Israel, Ahab or whatnot, his prophets were already telling him, go on, you're going to win the battle, man. Don't even worry about it. Go. And then he smacked, then somebody smack him when he tell him that the Most High sent down a lion spirit just to trip you up. And then he went out to battle anyway, the next chapter, and tried to hide himself and cloak himself to try to make himself look like a servant and hide out so he don't look like the king. And the man just pulled out an arrow and just shot that mug in the air, and the arrow came down and hit him right in the chest. Bam. And he died. So when you think about good and evil, when you look at your life, at the end of the day, the Most High is bringing them both, right? He's bringing them both. So the Most High does what he want to do. Nobody can bring a charge against him to tell him he did good or he did bad. Just like if you get you go to Walmart and buy some Play-Doh and you make something out of it, you make a bird or you make a roach or you make a dog or you make a person, and then you just take your hand and just crush it. Man, that's your prerogative. It's your prerogative. And it's different to say, well, but a human being has breath and has life. Yeah, but guess who gave it to you? Right? Guess who gave you existence? Guess who gave you your breath? Guess who gave you the blood that runs through your veins? You did. Well, Plato don't have that. As far as God is concerned, the same way you're so far above and removed from that Plato, and you're nothing like that Plato. God is nothing like you. He's so far removed from us that he's nothing like what we are. He doesn't function as we do. He doesn't exist the way that we exist. We exist completely different than how he exists. The same way that Plato exists completely different than how you exist. And you have the right, if you purchase that Play-Doh, you have the right to do with that Play-Doh and that Play-Doh whatever you want to do. So does the Most High. Because at the end of the day, you didn't even make the Play-Doh. You bought it. God made the clay that he shaped vessels with. He made the clay and he shapes with the same clay. And with the same clay, one lump, he makes vessels of honor, and another, he makes vessels of dishonor. It's just the way he wants to do it. So don't try to reconcile certain theological frameworks or certain ideas about God based off of what you've been taught, because it feels wrong, and initially it feels wrong because of how you were taught, right? It does feel wrong. It does feel wrong to say the Lord brings evil in the world. It does feel wrong to say that if that's how you're taught. But at this point, some of us, we should be past. I know I'm past that. I know if evil happens in the world, man, God did it. He brought it. Now, he didn't get off his throne. That's good or evil. The Most High don't get off his throne to bring you good. He don't get off his throne to bring you bad. He has spirits that he created to do that. Whether those good spirits bring you blessings or whether those malevolent spirits bring you evil, bring you calamity, right? So, same thing with people. If you see a good person, God made him. You see a bad person, God made him. Simple as that. So, man of lawlessness. Remember, God sets up kings. He does it. Changes times and seasons. He sets up kings. He brings down kings. And if any of you was upset at the way the elections turned out, this should give you some comfort. Matter of fact, it should just comfort you in general, knowing that at the end of the day, the president of the United States is who God wanted to be the president of the United States. You shouldn't be tripping about it at all anyway, because it's not your country, not your land. This is not your place. This is not your home. You are a prisoner here, period. You are a slave here, period. You may not think you're a slave because you got your own crib, but I tell you what, stop paying taxes, see what happens. Oh, y'all got my own car. Don't register your car and see what happens.
Dude, just try to leave. Try to leave the country.
Exactly. Try to leave the country
without a passport, without permission.
Facts. Big facts. Try to leave. Try to leave. And if you can't come back, where you gonna go? At least the Chinese man, if his visa runs out, he still got a land he can go back to. He got a land he can go back to. The African man, if things don't work out in the United States and things get crazy, guess what? He can hop on a plane and fly over to Africa. And he's straight. Where you gonna go? You ain't got nowhere to go. You are a vagabond. You're a person who roams the earth. You just have a place where you lay your head, but the reason you lay your head there is because you are a prisoner to that place, even though you're told you're not a prisoner. And it's cool to say, well, everybody's a prisoner. Yeah, that's what this nation does. It enslaves its own people, which is against the laws of God, because you're not supposed to enslave your own people according to the law of God, according to the law that he gave us. You're not supposed to enslave your own people. That's against God's law. But it shows the wickedness of the nation that we live under. So why would you want to be involved in that political rigmaroles, knowing that information? Why would you want to be involved in that? Because when you do that, you're just attaching yourself to that nation. And if you attach yourself to that nation, then you, sir, ma'am, are a Gentile. That's what you're doing. You have to detach mentally. You can't do it physically because you got to be saved physically, but you can only be saved by Christ. Mentally, you have to renew your mind. That's on you to renew your mind, your own mind, according through the scriptures, right? So with that, Let's jump into this. All right. Let me see what's on. All right. We're gonna make this pretty quick. All right. Now we beseech you, brethren. This is 2 Thessalonians 2:1. And always and keep in mind, vessels of honor, vessels of dishonor. Now we're talking about the vessels of dishonor. All right. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, and by our gathering together unto him, that you be not shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us, as that the day of Christ is at hand. All right. So he's well, here I'll read a couple more verses. Let no man deceive you, by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalted himself above all that is called God or that is worshiped, so that he as God sits in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. So let's look at this. Let's examine. All right, because that's what we're supposed to do. So he says, now we beseech you. Now I beg you. I ask you, brethren. So he's telling his audience, his people, his brethren, right? Remember, my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh, who are Israelites, right? That's what we just read in Romans 9, right? Says, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and by our gathering together unto him. What does he mean by our gathering together unto him? The gathering together unto him is the fact that through the gospel, we hear the gospels and we come back understanding and learning that, hold on, we're the Israelites. Oh, we're supposed to be keeping the commandments. Oh, we're supposed to be keeping the covenant of God. We have a covenant with him. Oh, he's our God. Oh, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are our forefathers, and we're a part of the 12 tribes of Israel. Oh, wow. He's gathering us together unto himself, unto Christ. It's not talking about in the day that Christ comes back, he's going to gather. Now, he's going to do that physically, but right now it's happening. It's taking place even now. Now, in the day of Paul, this is what was happening, but it's happening even now because Christ didn't come back in the time of Paul, right? So it's still taking place, right? He says, I don't want you to be soon shaken in mind, right? I don't want you to be up and down, or the faith that you have be shaken, the foundation of what you believe, you decide, or you start to feel like, man, I don't know about holding on to this idea or doing these things. These things seem too much. No, I don't want you to feel like that. And I don't want you to be troubled, right? He said, neither by spirit nor by word, nor by the letter as from us, that is, as that the day of Christ is at hand. So the idea of all of this is that what we're supposed to do, because if Christ don't come back in our time, what we're supposed to live every day, we're supposed to live as if he's going to come back in our time. We're told to watch. Remember the story, remember the parable of the 10 virgins. 5 were wise, 5 was foolish. They were mandated to keep their lights burning, right? To keep oil in their lamps. 5 of them kept oil in their lamp. The 5 that were foolish, they didn't. Then when they heard the trumpet, they wake up. The 5 foolish said, hey, give us some of y'all oil. And the 5 wise said, nah, if we give you some of our oil, we ain't gonna have enough. And you know the story, right? We're supposed to be like the 5 wise virgins, where we're continuing to watch every day. And then if Christ doesn't come in our time, then we should have been passed that down to our children, so that when we die, now they don't have to be shaken in mind or to be troubled, because now they can pick up where we left off and still expect the coming of Christ and still be becoming gathered or being gathered together unto him through the preaching of the gospel or the understanding of the gospel. All right. So he goes, let no man deceive you by any means. All right. For that day, what day? The day that Christ comes back. That day should not come. He's not coming back until something happens first. What's going to happen? A falling away happens. Now, we can easily look, because right now people say that because, a lot of people don't go to church. A lot of people stop going to church. Well, my family, for one, we don't go to church. We don't deal with church. We don't fool with church. I can't even imagine myself going back to church outside of going to help somebody, speak to somebody, or, doing a trade-off. Like somebody, you come to my church, I'll come to your study. I bet, let's do it, right? But as far as being a part of a church, join the church, I'm good. People will tell you that's the falling away. Wrong. You got to think from the time of Paul. What he's saying is, before Christ comes back, there are going to be a lot of people that fall away from the message he preached. What we learned in church and what we were taught is not what Paul taught. It's not what Paul taught. The falling away that we see now is not a falling away. We're actually falling toward, if when we leave church, we're going to truth. If we're doing it because we're learning the truth. And we're learning, wait a minute, that's a system of corruption. That's a system of sin. Or if you are in church and you do go to church, your motive is there to help. There's a pastor, because your people are still there. So it's okay to be there incognito, right? But if you had a predominantly white church or a predominantly Chinese church, where your people is not the head of that institution, you're there for no reason. You shouldn't even be there, right? So he says the time of Christ is going to come when before the time of Christ comes, they're going to be a falling away. Well, that's one of those prophecies, because this is a prophecy. He's telling you something that's going to happen. In his time, he's telling you something that's going to happen in the future from when he wrote this, right? Well, that has already happened, right? He says when this falling away happens, he says, and that before Christ come back, the man of sin will be revealed. All right. Man of sin. When you see this word man of sin, this is where people get into this idea of an antichrist, right? Oh, there's going to be an antichrist. He's going to rise up and he's going to do this and he's going to do that. No. The same way that he calls the whole nation of Israel by a name, Jacob, right? The same way that he tells you as a believer that you are a part of the body. What body? The body of Christ. Right? The same way that the heathens, when they looked at these Israelites who were following Christ, called them Christians, right? They called them Christians and gave them the name of Christ. You're called by the name of your forefather. You know what I'm saying? This man of sin is not just one singular man. This is a whole nation. Or well, I wouldn't even say a nation. We could say nation, but I won't say a nation. I'll say a power, right? This is a power, but it's talking about a nation, but we're going to call it a power. All right? It says this power shall be revealed. And he's going to be seen or known as the son of perdition. Remember, he made vessels of honor, vessels of dishonor, fitted to what? Somebody tell me, fitted to what? What did he say that vessels of dishonor were fitted to? Or prepared for?
Or like the ancestors, or is that? I'm not the ancestors. I'm sorry, the children of
the vessels of dishonor. He said they were prepared for what?
Oh, never
Do you
mind.
remember? No, you good. You good. Let me clarify. I'm just clarifying. They were prepared for destruction. Now look, watch this. Look at this destruction. All right, vessels of dishonor. He said those vessels of dishonor, vessels of wrath, they were fitted to apoleia. Right? That's what the Greek is. Apoleia. Apoleia. It means perdition, destruction, waste, or destroying. This man of sin. Guess what? Guess what he says he's a son of? Apoleia. Sons of destruction. Son of perdition. Damnable. Vessels of dishonor. Same word. So whoever he's talking about here as vessels of dishonor, when he talk about vessels of honor and vessels of dishonor, the same people, same nation, same power, same person, if you want to say person, he's talking about in 2 Thessalonians. All right. Who opposes, and look at what he says about this power, opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God. What does that mean that he opposes and raises himself above all that is called God? Right? The reason that it says that he opposes this, when you see this, that he opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, think religion. He opposes himself or exalts himself above religion. In a sense, almost as if he's the new religion. Right? And that he exalts himself above God, right? Or anything that is worshiped. So that he, as God, sits in the temple of God. When you see the temple of God, don't think Jerusalem. Don't think the temple. Paul was good on the temple. He went to the temple, but the reason he went to the temple is because he was a Jew and he went on certain days and certain feast days. That's why he went to the temple. He upheld certain customs. But as far as the temple was concerned, when you deal with the Essenes didn't even fool with the temple. The Essenes, that's another sect of Israelites who looked at the temple and said, this mug is corrupt. And so we're gonna wait on they believed in a Messiah of what it would say the Messiah of Aaron and the Messiah of Israel. The idea was that there was a priestly Messiah and a kingly Messiah. They didn't understand that this Messiah was the same Messiah, right? They just said, no, there's a high priest. We have a high priest who's gonna mediate for us on our behalf before God. Paul didn't come up with that concept on his own. He got that concept from the Essenes. right? So when he says that this power is going to sit in the temple of God, that should be ringing bells of something that we just read. I'm going to exalt myself above the stars of God. I'm going to sit on the mount of the congregation. The mount of the congregation. What is the mount? What is the congregation? Israel. Israel is called what? The temple of God. Your body is a temple. To who? The Holy Spirit. Not just your individual body, but all of us collectively as a nation of people. We are the temple of God on the earth. Remember, he said he's going to come back. And when he comes back in the last days, he said that we're going to be a kingdom of what? Kings and priests. Kings and priests, ruling and serving, ruling over the world and serving God by teaching everyone the commandments of God. What we're supposed to be doing right now is teaching everybody how to follow God, how to obey God. We're supposed to be doing it ourselves. That's how we're supposed to use our bodies. We are the temple of God. This power is going to exalt himself or has exalted himself above all religions, everything that is worshiped, because something that is worshiped is what? Is served, right? Is given its divine service to, honored at a high state, right? So that as God, as if he is God, or this power being God, acting as if he's God, meaning having all power, and it's certain characteristics going to be about this power that is going to be like it's, remember, similitudes, like something that's like unto. So it's going to be like he's omnipresent. It's going to be like he's all-knowing. It's going to be like it's righteous, like its customs are the right way, like its laws are the truth, like God. And he's going to sit in the temple, meaning he's going to be amongst the children of God, showing himself that he is God. Right? Anybody see that? Don't see that? Anybody, before we go any further? I don't want to go too fast, but before we go, you know what I'm saying? I just want to take some time to see what we talking about. You know what I'm saying? Nope. All right. So him exalting himself, when we think about God, right? When we think about the Most High, what do we think about the Most High? How do we know him? We know him through his laws. We know him through customs. We know him through culture. We know him through commandments, statutes, etc., etc., etc. All right, let me show you. Let's go. You go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 4, chapter 6, the classic. We quote this so many times. We'll start at 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that you should do in the land whither you go to possess. Keep therefore and do them. Do what? The statutes and judgments, the commandments of God. Why? Because this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations. We shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. They don't say that about you. Why they don't say that about us? Because we ain't following this God, the God of heaven's commandments and statutes. We're following this God's commandments and statutes. We follow his customs. We follow that power's statutes. Right? We're following. When you deal with laws means instruction. Right? What to do about something. That's what a law is in the Bible. A statute is a prescribed task. That's what a statute is. Judgment is the act of deciding. It's how to think about something. It's how you think about something. How do you see yourself? Why do you believe that about yourself? Why do you think that about yourself? Who's telling you that? Same way we remember the first question God ever asked man. The first question God ever asked man was, who told you that? Right? That's Adam and Eve, right? Oh, I was, we heard you walking in the garden, so I hid myself because I was naked. Who told you that? Who told you was naked? Did you eat from the tree that I told you not to eat? Did you go and listen to them other nations? Did you go and abide by their laws and their statutes and their commandments? Did they give you a new identity? Did they tell you something about yourself that I didn't? How do you know that about yourself? Why do you think that about yourself? Once again, to you two who said maybe and no, why do you think you're not a vessel of honor? Who told you that? Where are you getting that from? Why do you believe that? Right? Oh, God is a Trinity. Who told you that? I mean, ain't nothing wrong with eating this, this Thanksgiving turkey, this Thanksgiving ham. Who told you that? Where you get that from? Who said that? Man, ain't nothing wrong with Christmas, man. Christmas is just, who told you that? It's just a birthday party. Who told you that? That's what these are things that we have to ask ourselves, because you are obeying somebody, you are following somebody's law, right? We're all following somebody's law. We're either following God's law, we're following somebody, we're either following the son of perdition's laws. Somebody's laws, somebody's commandments. Who told you that, right? Who said that to you? All right. Says he's going to show himself to be God. This power. It's not just one man. This is not just one man. Like I said, the whole, oh, it's the Antichrist. Oh, it's the Antichrist. It's going, no. It's not the Antichrist. It's not an Antichrist. Even when you deal with the word Antichrist just means anybody who opposes Christ. That's what an Antichrist is, if you want to, just really get into it. All right. Thessalonians 2:5. Do you not remember that when I was with you, I told you these things? And now you know that with what withhold. Sorry, come on now. I told y'all, hold me accountable, y'all. All right. Verse 6. And now you know what is restraining, that he may be revealed in his own time. This restraining, it means that this person or this power, and I say person, don't think person like one individual, all right? This is a power that has been over time. Even, matter of fact, we'll see, you'll see. But this power, or this, I wish I had a better word for it. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't want you to think, I'm just going to call it nation, because we're a nation. So I'm going to say a nation, this nation, or whatnot, is being restrained, right? Meaning during the time of Paul, he's saying it's being restrained. What's being restrained? His revelation being revealed. You seeing who he is, him going all out so you can really pinpoint who this is, right? Says that he may be revealed in his own time. That's why the Spirit was restraining Paul and them from being able to fully understand the depth of the wickedness of this power, of this nation, this individual, right? Says verse 7, says, for the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. Only he who now restrains will do so until he is taken out of the way. All right. And then the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord will consume with the breath of his mouth and destroy with the brightness of his coming. All right. So let's unpack coming of the laws. All right. So let's real quick, let's unpack that right there. All right. So he says, he's already told us. He says he's already told us that he, or this nation, or this power, will be revealed before Christ returns. He already told us that. Says God is going to destroy him. Why? Because he's already fitted for destruction. Right? Says when he's going to be revealed, and then when he's revealed, he's going to be consumed. When you see consumed, don't think of that the same way you think about destroyed, because that's not what consume means. When you look up this word, analisko, right? That's what it is in the Greek. It means to expend, right? Same way that you like using up, like money, right? Like you spend all your money, you consumed your money. If you eat up all your food, you consumed your food. Okay. Let's see if they had yeah, there you go. First definition. I wish I could expand. Having to do that. All right. To expend, to consume, to use up. So he's saying this man of lawlessness, God is going to reveal him. And in revealing him, once he reveals him, we're going to see that God is using him. How? With the breath of his mouth, or with the spirit of his mouth. That's what it says in the King James. It says with the spirit of his mouth. What does it mean that he's going to use him with the spirit of his mouth, right? Let's look at a couple of precepts right quick. We go Revelation chapter 9. We're not going to do the whole chapter. You know what I'm saying? Just so y'all know that. So just hold on. So Revelation 19. All right, Revelation 19. Go down. Revelation 19:10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And he said unto me, see thou not that you do that. Don't do that. For I am a fellow servant. This is John, and the angels talking to him, saying, John, the angel shows him the end, right? The marriage supper of the Lamb, which is the end. And then John tries to worship him. And when John tries to worship him, he said, no, 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 don't do that. Don't worship me, bro. He said, I'm just a fellow servant. And I'm your brother that has what? The testimony of Christ. Worship God. Don't worship me. Worship God. Why? For the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. Right? What does that mean? That the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. The testimony of Jesus means a person who can understand the testimony of Jesus has the hope of Christ actually coming back. Right? They have the hope in him. That's a prophecy. His testimony, understanding what he's done for us is the spirit. That's how we understand even the things that God has promised before time. Right? And one of the things that we have to understand about God as we're talking, or whatnot, what we have to understand is that God does what he want to do, and whatever he says is going to happen is going to happen. That's the breadth of his prophecy. I mean, that's the breadth of his mouth. The breadth of his mouth is that the spirit that comes out, everything God says is prophetic, right? And whatever he say, whatever he declares is going to happen. This is 12:25. For I am the Lord, I will speak, and the word that I shall speak shall come to pass. It's going to come to pass. Whatever he declares, says he declares the end from the beginning. So whatever he has declared this nation to be, that's what they're going to be, period. Nobody can change it. He said, can a leopard change his spots? No. A leopard can't change his spots. That's just what he is. And that's what he's going to reproduce. He can't be anything other than that. A leopard may sit in the bushes, may blend in with the environment, may do all these. He's still a leopard regardless of the situation. Right? So the same thing with this man of perdition. This nation of perdition says, it shall no more be prolonged, for in your days, O rebellious house, will I say a word and will perform it, says the Lord God. Let's look at another precept. Let's look at Isaiah. Isaiah 55. All right. Look. Isaiah 55:10, for as the rain comes down and the snow from heaven and returns not there, it don't go back. Like it has to turn to a gas again. It's just saying the rain that comes down, it don't float back up in the sky as water, right? It turns into a gas first before it returns. But he's saying, no, it comes down, and when it comes down, it waters the earth, and it makes it bring forth and bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater, right? He says, so shall my word be that goes forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void. It's not going to come back and say, oh, I couldn't do what you said. I know you told me to go out. I know you said this was supposed to be like this. I know you said these people are supposed to be like this, but I couldn't make it happen. You know, I know you declared, just like when he said, let there be light, and there was light, right? If he says it's going to be that, that's what it's going to be, right? His word would never come back and say, I couldn't make it happen. And he'll never void out his word. Meaning, if he declares something to be something, he'll never change his mind about it and say, never mind. Don't worry about that part. Don't worry about the laws. Don't worry about that. He'll never do that. It says, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. Well, this man of perdition has already been declared who he shall be, what he shall be. Paul is just revealing. He's just giving us the information. But God has already determined what this nation should be like, and what this quote unquote man of perdition, man of destruction, people, nation, power, however you want to use it, of destruction is going to be like, and it cannot change it. So at the end of the day, it's gonna make him do what he wants him to do. He's gonna consume him, use him up with the breath of his mouth, meaning he's going to declare what he is, make him move. Let's watch this. Thank you, Lord. This is a precept. Proverbs, book of Proverbs. Let's go to Proverbs 21. Classic. Proverbs 21:1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turns it whithersoever he wills. The hand of the king is the hand of any person, anybody, any man is in God's hand. He does what he wants with the person. Look at Pharaoh. Remember Pharaoh? Remember when Moses said, "Let my people go," and all the plagues came, and then the death angel came, and when death came and killed all the firstborn of the Egyptians, Pharaoh said, "Man, y'all get up out of here, bro. Take y'all people, take y'all animals, take y'all children, take y'all stuff. Get the heck up out my land." And then they left. And then the Bible said that God hardened Pharaoh's heart, changed his mind, and then Pharaoh pursued them, ultimately to his destruction. He consumed him with the breath of his mouth, just like this man, and then destroyed him. But this person, but this nation, this power, he's going to use him up and destroy him at the brightness of his coming. When he returns, then he's going to be destroyed. He's not going to be destroyed before then. So whoever this is ruling even in the day of Paul. That's why you can't say this is some future Antichrist, right? You can't say it's a future Antichrist because he said the mystery of lawlessness is already at work. He's already at work. So in the day of Paul, this power had a construct, even in Paul's day. Even in Paul's day, that's how we know he's talking about a nation, right? Because remember, talking about vessels, just a reminder, because we ain't got the, we'll get that tomorrow. We'll break it down of how it happened and how it became this way, right? But remember, he's talking about the vessels of honor, he's talking about Jacob. The vessels of dishonor, he's talking about Esau. That's a linear logic. That's what he's talking about in Romans 9. He dealt with the sons of Abraham, the seed of Abraham, and then he goes down and he deals with that, and then he narrows it down to the sons of Isaac. And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one man, even by our father Isaac, for the children not yet being born, nor having done anything good or evil, that the purpose of God according to election might stand, not of works, but of him who calls. It was said unto her, the older shall serve the younger. As it is written, Jacob have I loved, vessels of honor, but Esau have I hated, vessels of dishonor. More. Malachi 1. Malachi 1:1, I'm starting. The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, says the Lord. Yet you say, how you love me and I'm in captivity? How you love me and our people walking around with, I got to worry about my own people murdering me for nothing. My car, my shoes, my chain, my woman, my kids. I got to worry about that. How you going to say you love me? When all I see is destruction for us and our people. Wait a minute. Was not Esau Jacob's brother? Was not he the firstborn? Was not all that you have as an inheritance, was that not supposed to go to him? Did I not take it from him and give it to your forefather and to you and make it your inheritance? Says the Lord, yet I love Jacob and I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. And when you get in, and we'll dive into that next week and when we do our part 2 to show the face of that all this is talking about Esau. This is talking about Esau. When you deal with this, it's talking about Esau. It's talking about the same man that he's talking about all the way from way back in Genesis. Way back in Genesis, it's talking about the same man or the same nation, the same power construct. That's why I say a power. It's talking about the power construct, right? The descendancy of Esau. That's what it's talking about, right? And we'll talk about that too, about what hope that someone who comes from that nation could have. Because it's not all doom and gloom in the sense of like, every single one of them is wicked and every single one of no, there's a standard of how the Most High would even consider blessing them, right? There's a standard for that. They don't get blessed just because they believe. They believe if somebody came and believed in Christ. God don't care nothing about that. Get up out of here with that. He wasn't sent for you. There's something else you must do in order to receive a blessing from the Most High as a non-Israelite that he told to Abraham. And if anybody can think of it, I'll let you come off the mic and say it. You know what I'm saying? But if not, then I'll tell you next week, right? But if you think of it, share it with us now, right? It says he's consumed him. He's going to destroy him with the brightness of his coming. says the coming of the lawless one. Watch this. And the coming of this power, right, of the lawless one. That's what he calls him, the lawless one. And the lawless one is not just one man, right? Because you got to remember, just to go ahead and give you the answers. You know what I'm saying? The Roman Empire, when you're dealing with the Roman Empire, this empire is one that had been destroyed, but had been raised up again, right? Remember the wound in his head, that dragon that we read about in the book of Revelation? Let's talk about the Roman Empire. We're going to prove that next week. Let's talk about the Romans. You know, that's Esau. The Greeks, that's Esau. The Russians, that's Esau. All of that is Esau. All of that land that you're dealing with, which we're going to explore, that was the land of Japheth, the sons of Japheth. Esau is not a son of Japheth. Esau is the son of Shem. Esau is Shemitic. Edomites are Shemitic people. These are sons of Isaac. They're Shemitic people. So how did they become Romans? How did they become Greeks? How did they become Russians? How did they become these things, right? That's the question that we should be, I want you to ask yourself. And that's what we're going to look at. Because remember, prophecy is also dealing with history. Next week, we're going to deal with the history. And that's how we're going to bring this to end, right? But he says the coming of the lawless one is according to the working of Satan. What does this mean that his coming is according to the workings of Satan, with all power, signs, and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deceptions among those who perish, because they did not receive the love of the truth that they might be saved? Let's break it down. The coming is coming. You look at this word coming. It just means parousia. It just means the presence. The presence of this person, or this power construct, this nation, wherever they go. Remember what he called their lands? He said they would call them what? Anybody can remember before I pull it up? No. Y'all must. Why? Come on, y'all. Y'all don't be writing this stuff down, do you? I told y'all better be writing this stuff down. All right. Look, whereas Edom says, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. All right. Thus says the Lord of hosts. So it's saying wherever they go, says, I laid his mountains and his heritage, all of his mountains, all of his heritage. What is his heritage? His heritage is what his father, that's why I told y'all to read Genesis, read that Genesis promise. The promise that Isaac gave him was that he would do what? How would he succeed? Through the sword. That's his heritage. Says every place he go and colonize, he says, I'm going to lay that waste for the dragons of the wilderness. His mountains, his kingdoms, because that's what a mountain is, a kingdom. All his kingdoms, so far I've laid it to waste. And he says, I'm going to go back and rebuild these places, and I'm going to even build more places. Because the Bible says that he's going to spread himself out over the earth like the wings of an eagle. And God said, every time you do it, you're going to rebuild. Says, look, thus says the Lord of hosts, they shall build. Go ahead. But I will throw it down. No matter wherever you rebuild, whatever nation you colonize, whatever lands you take over, whatever people you conquer, and you build up your mountains, build up your empires, build up your kingdoms, I'm going to throw it down. And they shall call them. They will be called what? The border of wickedness. Meaning what? This is going to be their MO. That their workings, their goings, their presence is going to be according to the working of Satan. What does the working of Satan mean? Let's look at that. The working. Right off top, somebody should already know what English word derives from this. Energia. Somebody please say it.
The energy?
Energy. Their energy. Who said that?
Big stretch.
Who said that?
It was me, Diamond.
Diamond. I knew Diamond said that. Their energy. Think about that. The presence of this power construct, his energy is going to be as if he was Satan himself. What is Satan? Because we can easily go, oh, he's the fallen man. No, he's not. Satan is the sifter. He's there to tempt you. He's there to bring temptations to see if you really are righteous. If you say you're righteous, if you say you're good, then let's see. That's why we need each other. That's why we need one another to hold one another accountable. The Bible said, provoke one another to good works, to remind each other that what? We're the vessels of honor. Because I might go off. I might feel like a certain way. I might go, because I ain't perfect either. I might get to a point where I forget that I'm a vessel of honor. And then you look at me like, dang, man, Tom acting like that, man. I don't know about him. I don't even know if I should show up on Saturdays and listen to him. Why? Because I'm flesh, just like everyone else. And Satan comes along and tempt me, and then I stumble. And then if I stumble, I'll look like the vessels of dishonor. He's saying this person here, this presence or this nation, their presence, wherever they go, because that's why he called them what? The border of wickedness, meaning wherever they go, they're going to take death and destruction, wickedness. That's how they're going to be established. They're going to be established through wickedness, deception, murder, colonization. They're going to take it. If you go and you look at the genealogy of Esau, when they went into Mount Seir, the Hittites, they took upon the identity of the Hittites. He started naming his wives and his children after the names of the Hittites, because it tells the genealogy of the Hittites. And it tells the name of their sons and their women too. And then Esau went in there, boom, and he started assuming their identity. That's why when you say Russia, you don't even know that Russia, Italy. You think Italians, all the Italians are white people. All the Italians are European. Did you know that the original Italians are melanated people, the sons of Japheth? Javan is what that name, it's what that land was called, right? Look, the lands of Javan are associated with Greece, Iona, and the northern Mediterranean Sea. Javan, see if they got a map. Let me see. See the ancient names. See if we can find the ancient names. Ancient names. Let's click on. Let's see what's here. Let's get them. All right. Let's try to find a map that can. Let's see. There we go. Where's needed with the names on it on these lands? I have to find a map so we can explore, so we can see clearly. Let me see. See that? Hold on, let's see. Ancient maps of the. Hold on. You know what? Let me see if I got something in my. So I did have start making me a folder. Let me see. Is this it? Let me see. Let's just see what I got. Here you go, something. There we go. Look at that. All right, let me show you something. Let me show you something. All right, quick. Let me see, what time is it? All right, 10 minutes. I'm gonna let y'all go. All right, Genesis, Table of Nations, because I'm pretty much almost at the end of 2 Thessalonians. All right, let's look at the Table of Nations. All right, look. And this is what we're gonna pick up next week. All right, so here you go. Sons of Japheth: Gomer, Magog, and Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshach, and Tyrus. All right. Watch this. Gomer. Let's see if we can extract this right quick. Let's go here like that. Gomer. Let's look at world map today. World map. Too congested. Let's see. So we can see the names of some of these countries. All right. All right. Look at this. Russia. Okay. Look at this map. Magog. This is all Russia up here. Descendants of Magog. This was their lands. See this? Europe. It wasn't called Europe. It's called the land of Gomer. Look, Gomer. That's what it was once called. Before it was called Europe. Your original Europeans are what they would call black people, right? But the sons of Japheth, right? Greece, sons of Javan. It wasn't called Greece. It's called the lands of Javan, all right? World map. Start dealing in this side of the world. Let's see. I need some. Sorry, I should have been better prepared. I'm kind of firing off the hip on this one. So y'all just bear with me. All right. Which is fine. We'll just go here. But you can't see. But somebody who, if y'all know, this is Italy, right? Greece. Of course, you have your African nations, right? This Foot, Mother had a son named Foot. This is the son, one of the sons of Canaan. I mean, the sons of Ham, right? So when you look, the sons of Ham, Cush, that's Ethiopia. Mizraim, this is Egypt. Foot. See foot? See his foot? Mizraim, Egypt, Cush, Ethiopia. Okay. Magog. So when you look in the Bible, you see Gog and Magog. That's what it's talking about. The ancient people of what the land is called Russia today. Russia, the people of Russia those are the people of Rus. How did they get there? We'll deal with that next week. The Europeans, how did they get there? Talk about it next week. Italians. Greeks. How did they become what they are? How did Alexander the Great? Because Alexander the Great claims that he descends from the tribe of Teman. Teman, if you look at Teman, right? In the table of nations, Teman, go Genesis, let's go to 34, I think it's 30, it's up here somewhere. Is it 35 or 33? Jacob moves to Bethel, Jacob beats Esau. Esau moves. All right. Genesis 36:9. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons. Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau. Reuel, the son of Bashmeth, the wife of Esau. And the sons of Eliphaz were Teman. That's where your modern day, that's why in the book of the Maccabees, which is another one of those history books. Look, first Maccabees chapter 1, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip. This is Alexander the Great. And Philip of Macedon. That was his daddy name. The Macedonian. Right? Whole nother reason, whole nother conversation why they're called Macedonians. Who came out of the land of Shittim. We just read about that, right? Had smitten Darius. He killed Darius, king of the Persians, after Darius had helped defeat the Babylonians. Alexander the Great killed him. Everybody, if anybody paid attention to class, for the most part, we should know that Alexander the Great is held as one of the greatest generals of all time, right? He was a man who went around and he defeated all his enemies, if you will, right? But he died early. It says, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and the Medes. Guess what? These are black people, all right? So-called black people, all right? Why does it matter? It only matters in relevance to what we're talking about, right? And what we're talking about is we're seeing, okay, who is this vessel of destruction that the Most High has declared that he hated, right? And how does that affect us today? And what does that mean for us in the grand scheme of things and the prophecy of the world as far as God is concerned? Meaning, what should we do as far as our conduct? What should we do as far as our understandings? What should we do as far as examining ourselves to see what it is that we believe and do and understand? Because if you're practicing, just like he gave the instruction to Adam and Eve, where he said of these trees of trees of the garden, you can eat from all of them, but this tree, watch out for this one. You got to understand why you're doing what you're doing. Because if you're doing some practices of things, because remember this character who is Esau, I'm gonna just give it away, it's Esau. He's gonna sit in the congregation of God, in the temple of God. The temple is the people. Right? It says this is Alexander. It says when he went, it says that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. How is Alexander? How he has a father. His father, Philip the Macedon, was a king, King Philip of Macedon. So you mean to tell me that Philip wasn't ruling over Greece? How is it that Alexander became the first king over Greece if he descends from a king once was a prince, Alexander the Prince, once upon a time? And then he becomes a king and he's a king over Greece. How did he get that? And that's what we'll talk about next week, right? But to finish this, right, says the presence of this people, this nation, says will be in accordance to the energy of Satan with all power, signs, and lying wonders. Lying wonders, don't think somebody that abracadabra, look, whoo, just pulled a balloon out of thin air. Nothing. No, that's not what he's talking about. It's not, he's going to take a beast and bring the beast to life and the beast is just going to start talking and, like magic. No. Meaning, when you think about a wonder, it means something that makes you wonder. Like somebody doing something that's beyond your comprehension. Somebody doing something you can't do. Somebody doing something that holds themselves up, that it gets them to a point of height or a point of notoriety to be seen as something great or someone great doing something that causes people to like wonder, like, what the heck? Sort of like an iPhone. Sort of like technology, right? Sort of like that. Like when it says let me finish real quick. Because I'm just gonna read down to 12. And with all unrighteous deception among those who perish. Why? Because they're following him, because he has exalted himself above God, above all that is called God, above religion. Meaning what? He has established himself as a source of whatever God would give in direction, in knowledge, in wisdom. He's going to be the replacement of that on the earth. The world is going to follow his wisdom. The world is going to follow his knowledge. The world is going to follow his understanding. What it means to be beautiful. What it means to be clean. What it means to be righteous. What it means even on the micro level. What it means to be a woman. What it means to be a man. What rights do you have with your children? You don't have the right to spank your children, but you have the right to kill your children in the womb. Oh, that ain't a kid. It's not a child. It's not a human until it takes a breath. So if you kill it, you're not killing anything because it's just a thing. It's nothing. It's not even a baby. It's not even a human. It's not a human until it takes a breath. Right? So people are deceived by this individual and doing things and this is talking about the Israelites. This ain't talking about everybody. This is just dealing with the Israelites. It says, with all unrighteous deceptions among those who perish because they did not receive the love of the truth. What is the truth? What is the truth of God? The truth of God is that he has sent his son to deliver you and to be a kinsman redeemer for your sins, that you may be forgiven through your faith in him, and you can come back to the covenant and keep the commandments and receive the inheritance that he promised to your father Abraham. But that takes some conforming, some reconfirmation of reconforming. You have to come and conform. That's why Paul said when and we'll get to it in chapter 12 of Romans, don't be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. So don't conform to this world. Well, why shouldn't you conform to this world? Because Christ said Satan is the god of this world. Now, when you say Satan is the god of this world, he's not talking about the spiritual demon. And he's not talking about the world in the sense of the earth. He's talking about the system, the government. Remember, God so loved the world. What world did he love? Not the entire world. He loved the Constitution, the government of Israel. Same thing. It works in the same way. So don't look and say, oh, when he's talking about Israel, all these similitudes mean something completely different than when he's talking about some other nation or somebody else. No, it works in the exact opposite. That's how the Bible is written. If it was Chinese, it would be the yin and the yang, Jacob and Esau, the children of Jacob, the children of Esau, vessels of honor, vessels of destruction. God is a God of balance. He does everything. He puts a left with the right. He puts a up with the down. He always has an in with the out. He always has a dry with the wet. He has life with the death. He's a God of balance. He always brings balance. Everything is balanced. So the same way he has a chosen seed, he has a rejected seed. He has a chosen nation, he has a rejected nation. He has a nation that he is called to raise up to represent him, and he has a nation that he raised up to oppose him. And the same way that the children of Israel, he has a nation that he calls them the sons of God. He has a nation that he calls the sons of the devil. But the reason he calls them the sons of the devil and the sons of God is the epithet, right? Sons of God meaning you're the vessel of honor. When you do your energy, your working, your energy should be of God. I should feel the presence of God through your energy, as if God is here, even though he's not. But it should be as that because you are made in his image. Well, same way with this people. Their energy, the energy of their presence will be as if it was Satan himself. Well, the evidence of them being Satan or looking at Satan is that this power structure, in all power, he has signs and lying wonders, and with all unrighteous deception among those who perish. Why? Because they did not receive the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this reason, God will send them strong delusions that they should believe the lie. It's talking about Israel. The vessels of honor who have positioned themselves as the vessels of dishonor because they follow the energy of this person. That they all may be condemned who did not believe the truth but had pleasure in unrighteousness. So the unrighteous acts or the unrighteous things that have been established and replaced with the things of God, because this person, man of perdition, has exalted himself above all that is called God, all the things of God, the laws of God, the commandments of God, even the Romans, even the Greeks. When you deal with the Greeks, when you deal with the Persians, the Medes, and you deal with the Babylonians, they allowed them to still have their customs and their culture. Even the Romans, to begin with, they allowed them to have their culture. They allowed, when it was Sabbath, they allowed them to, man, yeah, it's Sabbath. Go and take your Sabbath. Christ, the Sanhedrin judged Christ. They just weren't allowed to put people to death. That's why they took him to Pilate. But anything outside of that, the Romans didn't get involved. The Romans was like, hey, look, y'all must handle that y'all self. That what they got to do with us. We just trying to conquer the world. We ain't looking at Israel as some special place. We don't care nothing about what y'all talking about. Oh, yeah, he's the Messiah. Yeah, whatever that means. Yeah, good for y'all. Yeah. Look, I'm putting the sign over here. Look, this is Jesus, King of the Jews. Oh, no, he's not king. Change that. Hey, man, I wrote what I wrote. Shut up. It is what it is. Y'all sentenced him to death because he said he was a king of the Jews. That's what I wrote on top of his head. He said and that's what the scripture says. It said the Jew says, no, say that he said he was the king of the Jews. And he said, man, I wrote what I wrote. Shut up. Go on somewhere. Go read your scrolls. Go eat some unleavened bread. Go drink some wine or something. Go do some prayers. Get out of my face. They didn't care about what the Israelites did. They didn't try to control their faith. They didn't try to control what they believe. They didn't do that. That didn't happen until later. And now when you look, you can't take a Sabbath. You lose your job trying to take Sabbath, right? You lose your job trying to keep the commandments. Matter of fact, they don't even want you to keep this. The energy is like Satan. Deceive you. I don't want you to believe you're righteous. I don't believe you're righteous. I don't believe in your righteous God. I don't believe in none of that kind of stuff. But then they've come and have taken a seat in the temple of God amongst the people of God, and they've given you a religion to follow. They've given you a faith to follow. The God of heaven, the God of Israel, the God of the Israelites said not to copy the customs of the heathen, not to follow their ways. This person says, it's okay. It ain't no big deal. It's nothing. Therefore, those Israelites who are deceived say, it's no big deal. God ain't got a problem with that. And that's the stuff we got to check in ourselves, that you don't be deceived. And that's what he said. I don't want you to be deceived. I want you to be troubled in your mind. Don't be troubled. Come out from among them, be separate, be holy, right? But anyways, that's the conclusion of that first half, right? That's the first half. Next week, we'll get into breaking down how these things take place, how we can identify that today, and we'll bring it back full circle and show you that this nation is the devil. I'm not saying every single person, you can say, not every single one of them, of the descendants of Esau, has the energy of Satan, right? The potential is there, right? But if peradventure God has mercy on the individual, right, then the energy would be different. But some of those you got to be careful, because the energy is just that way, or they're just friendly, or they're just, feel like they're accepting of you, or feel like they're accepting of us, or they're understanding, because one, a lack of information, or you're just you've already conformed to that way, or you're just not in their way. Now, it's friendly, but I tell you what, get out of line and see how many Karens you drive. Get out of line and see how many Kevins you drive. Get out of line to something that they believe is the right way, or something they believe is the wrong way, and then see what happens then. Your enemy is your enemy. That's what Satan means. It means the adversary. So that's what Hashatan means, the adversary. So in places where you see, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to end it. All right. So when you go here, just, because we'll get into it next week, but when you go, because this is what we're going to deal with next week. All right. We're going to look at this beast from the sea. And if you go and you read this, what I want you to do is I want you to understand that this right here, this 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his head, upon his horns, 10 crowns, this is the European power structure. That's what this is. This beast that you see from the sea, it's the same one from that comes out of the fourth beast that comes out of the water in the book of Daniel. And just as a spoiler alert, the fourth beast that he saw come out of the water, somebody take a wild guess as what the beast was. Can somebody just do it? Just throw out something, what you believe that it was, what you believe it was. Can somebody tell me? Anybody? Somebody? Anybody? Just take a guess. Even if you're wrong, what do you think?
You said who or what?
What was the fourth beast? Because it doesn't describe it. It gives a description of like characteristics of it, but it don't tell you. Because remember, he saw a lion with eagle's wings. Then he see a bear lifted up on one side with 3 ribs in the mouth. Then he sees a 4-headed leopard having 4 wings. But then he sees a 4th beast, but he doesn't say what animal it is.
We'll just say eagle.
Boom. My God.
Eagle
That's
has
exactly what
landed.
that's what he saw. That's what he saw. He saw an eagle. That 4th beast that Daniel saw was an eagle. Was an eagle. Let me see. Let me find this right quick. And then that's it. And then we'll go. It's in the Apocrypha. Second Esdras. All right. See it right quick. And second Esdras 11. But then saw I a dream, and behold, there came up from the sea an eagle, which had 12 feathers. That's not the one I'm looking for. He spread himself over, blah blah. That's where he tells him what he saw. I want to see when he tells him. What is this? All right. Paraphrase. Tell it's not. I thought it would be that. It's not 11. Keep going. Tell me to 11. Seeing da da. Can you win? Da da. Ah, there we go. 12. 1 of 40. What verse is that though? 11, 12. Second Ezra 12. 12. There you go. All right. This is second Ezra 12 and 10. And he said unto me, this is the interpretation of the vision, because he tells me the same thing that you see in Daniel. Look, says the eagle whom you saw come up from the sea is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of your brother Daniel. That's Daniel chapter 7. If you want to go back and you want to go and read that, where he saw the 4 beasts, which is the four kingdoms that shall come upon the world. And there was one kingdom, one beast that ruled from the time he came out of the seas until the time Christ came back and crushed it. And that was the Roman Empire. And like I said, next week we'll explore it. I know I keep going. I gotta stop because it's so much. But anyways, yeah, that concludes where we're at, man. That concludes that for today. Hopefully y'all got some understanding. Did anybody y'all come off the mic, man? Y'all holler at me right quick, man. How y'all feeling?
I'm good.
Pancake good. What's up with y'all? Everybody else? What about you grown-ups? What about you grown folk? That's a kid. She's straight. Y'all straight? Y'all learned? Did y'all learn anything? Talk to me. Anybody want to add something? Anybody want to take something away? Anybody confused about something? Don't understand something? Let me know right quick. Because I'm probably gonna quiz y'all.
I'm good.
Everybody good. All right. Everybody good. Everybody good. And just for the record, I hope nobody on here, walk away thinking like, man, Tone racist in the mud. No, I'm just reading the Bible, yo. I'm just reading the Bible, telling y'all what it say. And at the end of the day, you can do with the information what you will and what you desire, or whatnot. So As always, give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, whose real name in Hebrew is Yahweh. We do so by his only begotten Son, who the world calls Jesus Christ, whose real name is Yahweh Shah. So until next week, if the Lord say the same, I'll meet y'all same bad channel, same bad place, same bad time.